Yeah. Not punishable in life. Okay, that's what it is, you know, set the law. All right, we'll get started here. We'll call the state of Wisconsin versus Henry Johnson Jr. It's 26 CF 155 appearances.
The state appears by ADA Ben Wagner.
Henry Johnson appears in person in custody with attorney Miles Leon. We have received a copy of the extradition paperwork, Your Honor. At this time, we're asking to be heard on Mr. Johnson's bond, hopefully give him an opportunity to return to the demanding state on his own accord.
Okay, and do we have a good address on the complaint?
Is the address on? It is. He says it's the correct address, Your Honor.
Okay, and has he been evaluated for a public defender for after today?
He has. He's eligible for the public defender, Your Honor.
Okay. So I've got the extradition complaint that alleges first degree aggravated robbery. Attorney Wagner, I don't know if you know what the potential penalties for that are. If they do them the way the state of Wisconsin does, it seems like it would be the most serious
There
robbery, but
is a criminal complaint that's attached to our intake paperwork, and it appears that it is a minimum sentence of 3 years. Maximum sentence of 20 years. It doesn't say what level of felony it is, just that it is a felony.
okay, well, the potential punishment is relevant to me, and certainly if it had been something that had life without parole, then I wouldn't be able to set bail. What's your position on bail?
The state of Minnesota is asking for $150,000 cash in regards to this warrant. I think that that's essentially asking for no cash. I would ask for at least 10% of that at $15,000.
Okay, and I was gonna ask, I think they're a 10% state, but I don't know for sure.
I know Illinois is, but I
Yeah,
don't
there's
know
a lot
about
of them that
Minnesota.
are actually 10% states. I think Wisconsin's maybe in the minority that's not.
In any event, I think $15,000 would be sufficient, considering the penalties that are associated with this charge.
Okay, and Attorney Leon?
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, we'd ask that you consider a significantly lower cash bond or signature bond in this matter. First, I would just note that he is eligible for the public defender. So I think any amount of cash in this case is going to be burdensome and likely keep him in custody. And I think if he is able to post cash, a much more modest amount could help assure his appearance in court there, and also any compliance with non-monetary conditions that might be set. I also would note that understanding that he's being extradited, he does have some ties to the area here in Dane County, that being living here for about 6 months. And my understanding is some prior employment, even though it is a little bit old at this point. Finally, I would just note that, again, I just think the amount of cash that's being requested right now without more understanding it's an extradition, without more information about history of interaction with court and how that's gone. What I know from a brief conversation with Mr. Johnson is it sounds like he has very limited interaction with the court system. And so I think that cuts in his favor pretty heavily here. So we would ask that you consider setting a cash bond that he might be able to post, or a signature bond in this matter. He says he might be able to post about $1,000.
Okay. Well, it's significant to me that the state has picked an amount. It's less significant when it's just kind of a body-only bench warrant. They haven't set an amount, but they basically said, and I'm going to assume it's a 10% state, that if Mr. Johnson's picked up in the state of Minnesota, we want him to have to post $15,000 and in order to get out of custody pending future hearings. He's found in a separate state. He's a fugitive from justice. There are mandatory minimums, significant potential penalties. Quite frankly, I think there's a good chance this would be a much higher bail than $1,000 if he were just charged in Wisconsin here for an initial appearance. But he's a fugitive from justice. I'm not going to set less than the $15,000 bail. I'll order that. We will get you an extradition hearing set within the next 30 days, and you can talk to your lawyer. They can certainly file motions to review the bail. We'll be adjourned.
actually work with you through all the steps, not just this brief conversation. If you're gonna get appointed, something tomorrow, it's okay. He's 15.
Smith will be next, Pernell Smith, via Zoom. Okay, that's right, sir. All right, this way,
We'll go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus TRAMELL Smith. It's 26 CF 158 appearances.
The state appears by ADA Ben Wagner.
Mr. Trammell Smith appears by Zoom, looks like from the city county building, along with counsel attorney David Anderson. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and do you have a copy of the complaint?
I do have a copy of the complaint. I do waive any further reading of that document. The address is correct, and you'd enter not guilty pleas to any misdemeanor counts.
Okay, I'll make findings of probable cause and are not guilty pleas to the misdemeanors. Mr. Smith, maybe just give us a thumbs up if you can hear us okay. Mr. Smith, are you able to hear us?
No.
Hello? I'm talking to you.
Mr. Smith, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I don't think there's a PSA report. What's the state's position on bail?
State's asking for $1,000 cash bail, as well as the condition that the defendant not have any contact with Jersey Mike's restaurants or Officer Journey Dodge. Signature bonds aren't working for Mr. Smith. The officer spent about an hour and a half trying to de-escalate a situation at Jersey Mike's and peaceably extract the defendant from a bathroom. His mother was on the scene and was unable to talk him into leaving. I think at this point, cash is necessary to as an incentive to reorient him to comply with his bail conditions, as an officer was injured during this situation. He does have other cases open, and I think that some cash is appropriate here.
Can you spell the first name of the officer?
Journey, like the word, just
Like the word journey,
yes.
going on a trip? Okay. And Attorney Anderson, your position on bail?
I would have said the band journey, but on bail, Mr. Smith is 19 years old. Reading this complaint, to me, it's very evident that he was going through a mental health crisis. And I know that also to be true because as a result of this, he was put through Chapter 51 proceedings, spent a few weeks in Winnebago, and is with Journey now. This is an incident where Jersey Mike's didn't want him in the bathroom anymore. His mom, per the complaint, had been following Mr. Smith around, trying to care for his well-being. This, I don't believe is something that requires cash bond to want to ensure his appearance at court or to make sure he complies with bond. This is clearly a mental health issue that he is working on and would be able to continue to work on out in the community with his caregivers. He has showed up to every court appearance with his mother. He's got a good support system. I think a signature bond in this case is appropriate.
All right. Well, we're on case number 6. That is pretty concerning. When people are signing their bond, they're expected to follow the specific conditions and not pick up any other cases. We're on case number 6. I don't think I can go along with a signature bond. I think a much lesser cash bail is appropriate. I'll set it at $300. Order a ban from Jersey Mike's and a no contact direct or indirect with Officer Journey Dodge, except as necessary in that officer's duties as a law enforcement officer. We can get this set for a prelim if you want in the next 20 days.
I think we can waive the
Okay.
The time limits.
The clerk will let you know what we've got for a status date.
Right now, looking at February 23rd, 1 foot.
should be just fine.
Okay, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
See you tomorrow, Ben.
Wait, that's tomorrow.
I don't know, just have like a pre-trial conference or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah, be around.
Ryan, Anthony, Ryan is next.
Is this address correct?
Yes.
Great. We'll go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus Anthony Ryan. It's 26 CM 170 appearances.
The state appears by ADA Ben Wagner.
Anthony Ryan appears in person in custody with attorney Miles Leone. We have received a copy of the criminal complaint. This time we'd waive any further reading. The address that's listed on the complaint is correct for Mr. Ryan, and he's was found not eligible for the public defender.
Okay, so Mr. Ryan, Attorney Leon's going to help you here today. If you can't hire an attorney on your own after today, contact the public defender's office. You get reevaluated, or they can help you or point you in the right direction to apply for a county attorney. They've given you the contact info. We'll make findings of probable cause and are not guilty pleas to the charges. State's position on bail.
No objection to a signature bond, but with the condition the defendant not operate a motor vehicle and that he not possess any controlled substances or drug paraphernalia without a valid prescription.
Any objections?
Yes, sir.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, Mr. Ryan, you're maybe getting a break here. I don't know. It's pretty common for the DA's office to ask for cash bail and somebody's not stopping when law enforcement tries to pull them over in their vehicle. I've got a joint recommendation and it wasn't charged as a felony eluding. I'm going to go along with that. But it's important for you to follow your conditions of bond and make court. I'll order a signature bond, order that you not operate a motor vehicle at all, and that you not possess or consume any controlled substances or drug paraphernalia without a valid prescription, and we'll be adjourned.
All right, so fine. Block is next, Jason Block.
Mr. Block, Miles on the public defender's office.
Great, we'll call the state of Wisconsin versus Jason Block. It's 26 CF 154 appearances.
The state appears by ADA Ben Wagner.
Jason Block appears in person in custody with attorney Miles Leone. This time we have received a copy of the complaint. We would waive any further reading. I see the box checked for private attorney here, so I'm unsure if he's eligible for the public defender, but he has confirmed the address on the complaint.
Okay, so Mr. Block, if you hire an attorney on your own after today, that's fine. If you find out that you can't, contact the public defender's office to see if you're eligible. That's the paperwork that the bailiff's given you. If you're kind of caught in the middle, you can apply for a county attorney. That's the middle option. I'll make a finding of probable cause and state's position on bail.
Just give me one moment. There. State is asking for $1,000 cash bail, as well as the condition that he not operate a motor vehicle without a valid driver's license. I think this is, given facts of the case that are outlined in the criminal complaint, this is pretty significant behavior. And I do think that some cash bail is appropriate here.
Okay, and Attorney Leon?
$1,000.
That's what the state's asked for, yeah.
Should be not too bad.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, we would ask your consideration of a lower cash bond or a signature bond in this matter. Understanding some of the state's concerns, I don't think we heard a lot about previous involvement with the system and how that had gone, if there is any previous involvement. So I will let the court know he does have some strong ties to the area, including being in Wisconsin for his entire life, as well as having some children in Wisconsin. that do live with him according to the paperwork I have here. I also believe he's self-employed and is working. So for those reasons, we'd ask you consider a lower bond or a signature bond in this matter.
Okay, and any response from the state, and what about prior history since it's an Act 3 eligible offense?
Just on my brief view of the of our records, I don't have any other prior records of referrals. So I wouldn't be able to speak to anything in regards to other cases.
All right, well, I'll presume he doesn't have any prior record. That's definitely in his favor. I think if he had an extensive prior record, we'd be talking about a very significant cash bail, given what's alleged here. It's an Act 3 eligible offense. What they allege is that he swerved at the highway person or whoever was fixing the telephone pole, struck that person, made threats to mess them up or end them. Very concerning driving behavior. I think there's a need for some cash here, given the lack of prior record. I'll go along with the $1,000. I'm not going to set it below that. Sounds like it's something Mr. Block can post. I'll set $1,000 cash bail. I will order that you not operate a motor vehicle without a valid driver's license. You do have the right to a preliminary hearing in the next 10 days. What's your position on that, Attorney Leon?
So at this time, we'd be comfortable.
So, yes.
At this time, we'd be willing to waive the hearing or the hearing time limits, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll set it for a status. It'll give you more time to sort out private counsel if that's the route you're gonna go. We are adjourned.
All right, let's fix one. Schulz is next, Gavin Schulz, the Zoom.
Great, we'll go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus Gavin Schulz. That's 26 CF 166 appearances.
Lexi Keys for the state of Wisconsin.
Gavin Schulz appears via video from the Dane County Jail. Attorney Miles Leon appears in the courtroom. I have received a copy of the criminal complaint. At this time, I'd waive any further. Mr. Schulz is eligible for the public defender, and the address on the complaint is up to date.
All right, and Mr. Schulz, if you can hear everybody okay, give us a thumbs up in the window. Okay, see a thumbs up. I've taken a look at the criminal complaint. I'll make findings of probable cause. We'll enter not guilty pleas to any misdemeanors. And there's a public safety assessment report. Everybody should have a copy of that recommends cash bail. What's the state's position on bail?
The state is requesting cash bail in the amount of $100,000 with the non-monetary conditions that upon posting, he report to pretrial services with random UAs, that he not have contact with either of the victims or their immediate families, that he not operate a motor vehicle, and that he not use or possess any controlled substances or drug paraphernalia without a valid prescription. This is an extremely serious offense. There are several Act 3 offenses here. By his own admission, he had alcohol and THC prior to driving. He hit the victim's vehicle at such a high rate of speed that the force of the crash took the engine out of the victim's car. I would note, though, for the court, he has no criminal history and he has no missed court. It also does not appear that he has he does not have a significant driving record either. He is facing mandatory prison time here with a presumptive minimum of 5 years of incarceration. So I think given all of the factors that the court is to consider, cash bail is necessary in the amount of $100,000.
All right, and I should mention, I don't believe pretrial services can take anybody unless you got some sort of special dispensation ahead of time. Last week, in the middle of the week, they said they were over capacity, couldn't take anybody. I think my option, if you haven't gotten approval from them, is I could say somebody is to report to pretrial services, but it wouldn't be a situation where they're held in custody because we don't know whether it's going to be days, weeks, or months, but that they be required to check in with them, by phone by 10 a.m. after the day that they're released from custody, and then appear whenever pretrial services says, hey, we can take you. I don't know if you were aware of that.
I was not.
Okay. And so I take it that means they haven't given you a special approval that they could take one more person on.
That is correct at this time.
Okay. Appreciate that. Attorney Leon, your position on bail.
Thank you, Your Honor. I ask that you consider a lower cash bond in this matter. I understand that this is extremely serious and these allegations are extremely serious, but I think what the state's already placed on the record about a lack of a prior record, and it seems that he hasn't had a history of miscourt, does go a long way here. I'll also provide to the court that he has strong ties to the area. He's been living in Wisconsin his entire life. He has parents, siblings, extended family, and friends in the area, and is also eligible for the public defender. So he will be having a public defender appointed to him who can help him navigate the court process. Finally, I would just note that I think his eligibility for the public defender makes him by definition indigent. And I don't think $100,000 bond is really going to be the difference. I think it could be 50,000 or 75,000 or 100,000, and he still wouldn't be able to post it. So I think asking for something a little lower, maybe 15 to 20,000 here, is still reasonable and still has the same effect that the state's looking for here. So for those reasons, we would ask you consider a lower cash bond between $15,000 and $20,000.
And any response from the state?
No, I'll rest on my original argument.
And I don't think that's Mr. Schulz, so maybe we can mute, so our audio record isn't messed with. So obviously this is not a sentencing. I'm not punishing people here. Counsel know that, but I think it can be useful because victims may be watching on Zoom and aren't as familiar with the process, to talk about what we're doing here. It's the initial appearance and addressing bail. The factor in every criminal case is whether the person's a risk not to appear. There's also Act 3 eligible offenses, so I have to take into account whether cash bail's necessary to protect the public under the totality of the circumstances. The PSA recommends cash bail, but it notes no prior history. I think that's more a result of kind of the committee of all the judicial players and community people saying that these are the types of cases that probably warrant cash bail regardless of how the tool comes out. Part of that is I think there's been a huge shift in how OWI homicide cases are addressed, especially with people with no prior OWI record or no criminal record like Mr. Schulz. When I started, they were almost always probation, county jail time maybe, but nobody was going to prison. I don't know exactly when that changed, but I certainly noticed a change over my career on the bench that judges are sending these people to prison. People with no prior OWIs, not much of a traffic record, no prior criminal record. And it isn't always just a couple of years. And that was, I think, before the mandatory minimums of 5 years. So these are often significant sentences, even if you're in a situation like Mr. Schulz, who doesn't have a significant prior record. There's a built-in incentive to not appear when you're looking at those particular stakes. In his favor is he's never missed court, doesn't have a prior record. This did happen maybe 5 months ago. He appears to have been arrested locally and didn't take off. So that's a factor that's in his favor. When I'm looking at whether cash bail is necessary to protect the public, it is unfortunately a significant factor in my mind is I don't have pretrial services at my disposal to make sure that he's testing and not using drugs, blowing in a breathalyzer, making sure that he's not drinking alcohol. And it's hard to overstate the dangerousness of people who are drug driving and drinking and driving. It leads to all sorts of fatalities. It's extremely dangerous conduct. And I think needs some cash bail to assure that the public is protected. Where that number is, it's not an exact science. I think the number that Attorney Leon proposes is far too modest to assure the goals that the court needs. I think the state's request is more than is necessary. To me, that is more consistent with bails that I've set or seen set with people who had really bad driving records, people who are driving while revoked, picking up speeding, reckless driving, had a prior history of OWIs and things of that nature. I'm going to set $35,000 cash bail. Just to be clear, I'm going to order that Mr. Schulz comply with pretrial services, but this isn't a situation where he should be held in custody because they don't have the availability for him. So if the bail is posted, Mr. Schulz, what you're going to be required to do is call them and we'll give you their contact information no later than 10 a.m. on the business day following your release from custody. And then give them your contact information, because when they are able to take you, then they'll reach out to you and you'll be required to comply and show up to their office whenever they tell you, to be equipped with a breathalyzer, because I don't know that it was asked for. I think it's appropriate. I think there was an admission by Mr. Schulz that he'd been drinking. I realized he PBT'd or had an intox of 0. But obviously time elapsed before that all happened. And whether that played a role with the drugs that were on board, I'd feel a lot safer just knowing he's not drinking at all. So I'm going to order that they test you for your alcohol use. I will order that they drug test you with pretrial services. I will order as other conditions, obviously, that you not possess or consume controlled substances or drug paraphernalia without a valid prescription, that you not possess or consume any alcohol, that you have no contact, direct or indirect, with the victim's immediate family members. So that would be MAC, and then it would be a no contact, direct or indirect with LCV and their family as well, as I understand the request.
That's correct.
Got it. And then finally, I'll order that you absolutely not operate a motor vehicle under any circumstances. Have I overlooked any of the non-monetary conditions?
No, I believe you addressed them all.
All right. Attorney Leon, anything further?
Just that we would enforce timelines, Your Honor.
Sure. We'll get it set for a timely preliminary hearing in the next 10 days. They're going to be getting you a lawyer, and that's certainly an opportunity to have bond reviewed. We are adjourned.
Stewart is next. Miguel.
We'll go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus Miguel Stewart. It's 26 CF 159 appearances.
The state appears by ADA Ben Wagner.
Miguel Stewart appears in person in custody with attorney Miles Leon. We have received a copy of the criminal complaint. At this time, we'd waive any further reading. He has been found eligible for the public defender, and I believe the 2937 Coho Street address is correct.
Right. I'll make a finding of probable cause and are not guilty pleas to misdemeanors. The public safety assessment report recommends cash bail. What's the state's position on bail?
The state is asking for $500 cash bail, as well as the condition that the defendant not use or possess any controlled substances or drug paraphernalia without a valid prescription, and also that he not drive. This is his third open case. It's clear that considering that he does have those 3 open cases, he's not following his bail conditions. He was driving an unregistered vehicle here. I think that cash is appropriate at this point, and I'd ask the court to impose that.
All right. And was there any sort of OWI that came out of this?
It doesn't look like Fitchburg Police did an OWI investigation.
Okay. And Attorney Leon.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, we'd ask that you consider a lower cash bond, maybe between $100 and $250, or a signature bond in this matter. Mr. Stewart has some strong ties to the area. He's been in Dane County for about 7 years. He also is eligible for the public defender, so he will have a lawyer helping him through the system, which I do think helps people get to court and know when where they're supposed to be and when they're supposed to be there. He also has ties to the area through his family, including his spouse, as well as a child, age 6, that does live with does live with him. Finally, I would just note here that I was thinking about the same thing that I think you are as well, that he was pulled over here for expired registration. I do think it cuts in his favor, even though he wasn't supposed to be driving, that he wasn't driving wildly or in a way that attracted the attention of the police. It was rather they were running his registration and it came back that it wasn't registered. So I do think that cuts in his favor here as well. So for those reasons, we'd ask you consider a lower cash bond or a signature bond.
All right. Well, I don't think he was charged with a bail jump for violating the underlying conditions on the OWI. Third, in relation to driving, there wasn't an OWI investigation that came out of this. The state didn't charge an OAR. I guess I'm not going to order the condition in regards to operating a motor vehicle. I don't think that's tied enough to the charges that have been charged here. I'll adopt the not use or possess controlled substances or drug paraphernalia. I'm going to set some cash. I think $250 is reasonable given the charges, but there's a pretty extensive failure to appear history. I think he needs something on the line here. 2 or more in the last 2 years, other failures to appear older than 2 years. He's at the very top of the scale for failure to appear. And he's almost at the top of the scale for new criminal activity. So $250 will be the amount that you need to post, sir. What about time limits? He's got the right to a preliminary hearing in 20 days.
We would enforce time limits.
Okay, we'll get that scheduled and we'll be adjourned.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, we know what will be next via Zoom.
Hi, who do we have?
Jose Lino.
All right. All right, we'll go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus Jose Lino. It's 26 CM 161 and 26 CM 162 appearances.
The state appears by ADA Ben Wagner.
Jose Lino appears by a video in custody from, I believe, the Dane County Jail. Attorney Miles Leon appears in the courtroom.
Okay, and your last name is Miles?
Oh, Leon, last name.
Leo? Okay. Buenas tardes, vamos a poner el acta en los casos 26 CM 161 y 162, el estado de Wisconsin contra José Lino. Preséntense los que compadecen. I'm sorry, the interpreter didn't get the district attorney's name.
Ben Wagner.
Oh, that's right. El fiscal Ben Wagner para el estado y representando a José Lino está aquí el abogado defensor público Miles Leo.
Your Honor, we have received copies of the complaint. Would waive any further reading at this time. He's eligible for the public defender and his address is the Beacon.
Su señoría, hemos recibido las denuncias penales y renunciamos a la lectura formal. Él está recibiendo su correo en la dirección de la Beacon.
All right, we have certified Spanish interpreter Femi Filipiak interpreting.
La intérprete es Marifei Filipiak
And I'll swear Ms. Filipiak in for our hearings this afternoon.
y ella va a prestar juramento como intérprete.
Do you swear or affirm that you'll truly, accurately, completely, and impartially interpret the proceedings?
I do. La intérprete jura interpretar de manera completa, correcta e imparcial a su mejor capacidad.
All right, I'll make findings of probable cause, enter not guilty pleas to the charges. In each case, there's a public safety assessment that recommends cash bail. What's the state's position on bail?
s-
Bien, entonces voy a hacer las determinaciones de prueba suficiente. También voy a sentar una declaración de no culpable a su favor para cada caso, cada cargo de cada caso. También tenemos un reporte de seguridad público donde recomienda dinero en efectivo como fianza. ¿Qué opina el Estado?
The state is asking for $250 cash bail in each case.
El Estado está pidiendo una fianza de $250 en cada uno de los casos.
And in 26 CM 161, the state is asking for conditions that the defendant not have contact with IHAM H.
Bien, en el caso 26CM 161, estamos pidiendo que como condición de su fianza, este acusado no tenga ningún contacto con la persona con las iniciales IMH.
That's spelled AYHAM.
Se escribe AIHAN.
And also that he not have any contact with Mohammed H.
Y que no tenga ningún contacto con Mohammed H.
And that he be banned from the Eclipse Coffee on State Street, in the State Street ban area map.
Y que se le prohíbe acercarse a la tienda o la cafetería Eclipse en la calle State. Y también que se le prohíba entrar en lo que es la zona de State Street que está indicado en el mapa.
And then in 26 CM 162. We're asking that he not have any contact. Shauna B.
En el caso 26CM 162 estamos pidiendo que no tenga ningún contacto con Shana B.
And that's spelled SHAUNA.
Y se escribe el nombre SHAUNA.
And also that he be banned from the UW campus area.
Y que se le prohíbe estar en lo que es el área de la Universidad de Wisconsin.
Mr. Lino has a very extensive case history.
El señor Lino tiene un historial penal bastante extensivo.
And
Pregúntale por qué no me lleva para Miami. Pregúntale por qué no me mandan para Miami, que yo no sé ir para allá.
Okay, Mr. Lino,
Tell my attorney to call me because I don't know how to go over there.
yeah, Mr. Lino, you probably don't want to make any statements. You've got an attorney. We'll give you some public defender information.
Señor, usted no va a querer hacer declaraciones ahora. Usted tiene un abogado y vamos a darle la información para la oficina del defensor público.
he also has some recent missed court appearances.
También recientemente él ha faltado a unas fechas de corte.
A bench warrant was issued on September 17th of 2024.
Emitieron una orden de arresto el 17 de septiembre del 2024.
September 21st of 2023,
Luego el 21 de septiembre del 23.
April 12th of 2023,
El 12 de abril del 2023.
and September 4th of 2020.
Y el 4 de septiembre del 2020.
So I think there is some risk that he does not appear for court.
Así que hay un cierto riesgo de que él no se
And so this-
compadezca en la corte.
and that's why the state is asking for some cash bail.
Por eso el Estado está pidiendo dinero en efectivo como fianza.
All right. And obviously, I'm very familiar with Mr. Lino's history.
Está bien, por supuesto estoy, consciente del historial del señor Lino.
Is there a change in circumstances and a reason to believe that Mr. Lino will actually be found competent?
Tenemos un cambio de circunstancias en los cuales pensamos que le van a determinar competente al señor Lino.
Because I think the history and just ton of cases over the past 5 years. All of them have been dismissed because he's been found not competent, not likely to regain competence.
Porque tenemos un montón de casos en estos últimos 5 años y todos los casos han sido desestimados porque le han determinado no competente al señor Lino.
I'm somewhat familiar with his history as well.
Yo también estoy un poco familiar con su historial.
And I don't have any new information in regards to his whether he would be competent to stand trial at this point.
Y no tengo ninguna información nueva sobre si él va a ser competente llevar un caso a juicio o no.
Right, and the clerk popped me up and indicated that there's one felony that's pending, but the proceedings are suspended due to competency issues.
Mi ayudante me acaba de mandar un mensaje que hay un caso delito grave que está pendiente, pero los procesos legales se han suspendidos por hacer un proceso de competencia.
I did just get a message from my victim witness services person.
Acabo de recibir un mensaje de mi persona que está encargada de las víctimas y testigos.
And she directed me to a document that involved the corporation counsel.
Ella me dirigió a un documento que tenía que ver con el fiscal de la ciudad.
And I'm going to open it and read it to see what it says.
Estoy tratando de abrir el documento y leerlo para ver qué dice.
My understanding is that they are hopeful that there might be a different outcome on the competency process.
Tengo entendido que ellos tienen la esperanza de que esta vez va a haber una conclusión diferente en cuanto al proceso de incompetencia.
If the Wisconsin Forensic Unit approaches this matter with a few additional steps.
Eso sí, la oficina de Wisconsin, la oficina forense de Wisconsin, puede dirigirse y dar unos pasos adicionales en el caso.
Right, and Attorney Leon, your position on bail?
Licenciado León, ¿qué opina usted sobre la fianza?
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, we'd ask that you consider a lower cash bond in each case or a signature bond in each matter.
Su señoría, estamos pidiendo que usted considere algo menos de fianza o si puede ser una fianza bajo firma.
At this time, my understanding is that Mr. Lino is indigent, and I think any amount of cash in this would likely keep him in custody through the pendency of these cases.
Tengo entendido que el señor Lino es indigente, por tanto, cualquier dinero de fianza le va a mantener detenido para la pendencia de estos casos.
Sounds like he has strong connections to the area based on this history that's been referenced, although I'm not completely privy to it.
Parece que él tiene enlaces fuertes con esta comunidad, basado en lo que han comentado de su historial, aunque no tengo yo conocimiento de lo mismo.
And I think the non-monetary conditions that were requested by the state are appropriate and can help go to some concerns outside of him returning to court that the court or the state might have.
Y también las condiciones no monetarias son condiciones que pueden hacer frente a las deudas que puede tener la corte, tanto como el fiscal.
For all those reasons, we'd ask that you consider a signature bond in each matter or a lower cash bond.
Por eso estamos pidiendo que usted considere darle una fianza bajo firma o por menos dinero.
All right, well, it looks like on October 29th of last year in 25 CF 2072, the judge found him not competent, not likely to become competent within the statutory period.
Parece 29 de octubre del 2025, en el caso 25 CF22, el juez le determinó no competente y no probable volverse a competente.
Looks like there was an order that he be immediately taken into custody, presumably so Corp Counsel could file a Chapter 51 or a Chapter 55.
Y hubo una orden de arresto para que lo llegaran a tomar al señor Lino bajo custodio, seguramente para que el fiscal de la ciudad le pudiera abrir un caso de capítulo 51 o capítulo 55.
That's not inconsistent with my recollection of the history where they either take no action or when law enforcement has, oftentimes end up dismissing the case.
Y no es inconsistente con lo que yo recuerdo de su historial, que en la mayoría de los casos o no proceden, no toman acción, o los oficiales del orden público llegan a desestimar el caso.
He's been evaluated by a myriad of different experts who've come to the same conclusion.
Él ha sido evaluado por unos cuantos profesionales que han llegado a la misma conclusión.
The nature of the issue suggests it's not something that is, going to ebb and flow like a lot of people's mental health.
Y la naturaleza de este asunto no es algo que va a subir y bajar como otras personas con enfermedades mentales.
Certainly, I've seen plenty of instances where people are found not competent, not likely to regain, but then years later, they are or they can be treated to competence.
Hemos visto varios casos en los cuales la persona o el acusado ha sido declarado no competente, sin probabilidad de volverse competente, pero con los años y un buen tratamiento han podido volverse a ser competentes.
So just about every case over the last 5 years has been dismissed. There's been no convictions.
Y parece que casi todos los casos en los últimos 5 años han sido desestimados. Él no tiene ninguna condena, perdón.
If something changes with Corp Counsel, that's probably a good thing for Mr. Lino and the public.
Si algo cambia con el fiscal de la ciudad, eso puede ser algo positivo para el señor Lino y el público.
But I'm going to take the position I have multiple times in the past and not set any bail. So he'll be released without bail conditions.
Así que voy a tomar la misma opinión que he tomado varias veces y no voy a imponer dinero para que él pueda salir.
Given the extensive history, I'll find a basis to doubt competence and order a competence evaluation.
Y dada el historial largo, voy a determinar que hay motivos para dudar su competencia y voy a ordenar una evaluación de competencia.
And we'll be adjourned.
Con eso se levanta la sesión.
Mayor is next, Kareem Mayor.
Sorry, who do we have?
Kareem Mayouf.
Right, we'll go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus Kareem Mayouf. It's 26 CF 163 appearances.
The state appears by ADA Ben Wagner.
Mr. Mayouf appears in person in custody alongside attorney Rachel Miliotto.
Right.
I'm sorry, can you put the spelling of your last name?
Yes. MILIOTO. We have received a copy of the complaint. We waive formal reading. The defendant stands mute.
Okay, we'll make findings of probable cause and are not guilty pleas to the charges. So curious, it looks like there was a bail bond hearing on January 15th, and there was apparently no valid probable cause. And the state requested he be released without bail. Looks like there was a public safety assessment at that time that recommended a signature bond. I don't believe that's in the courtroom, but I assume the state and Attorney Miliotto got a copy of that at the
Yeah,
last
he received
hearing.
it at the last hearing.
And then I guess for some reason he was arrested again. And we've got the new complaint. Well, we should address bail. What's the state's position on bail?
No objection to a signature bond. But the state would request a ban from the UW campus. That he be banned from all University of Wisconsin Board of Regents meetings. That he have no contact directly or indirectly with any University of Wisconsin's Systems Board of Regents members. Not to possess any dangerous weapons. And not to use or possess any controlled substances or drug paraphernalia. Without a valid prescription.
And any objections?
We have no objections at this time to those conditions.
Okay, I'll order a signature bond. Conditions will be a ban from the UW campus. Per the ban map, the deputy's going to give you that. A ban from the UW Board of Regents and not to have any contact with any of the UW Board of Regents members or board. That you not use or possess dangerous weapons, as that term is defined by the statute. So that would include firearms, include anything else that's designed as a weapon, but it also includes anything else that you can think of if you're using it or intend to use it in a manner that's likely to cause great bodily harm or death, and you can't possess that. In order that you not use or possess any controlled substances or drug paraphernalia without a valid prescription. And then
And
as to the time limits for the preliminary hearing,
we are not waiving time limits.
okay, and do we know when that'll get scheduled?
Just fine. Right now, I'm looking at February 5th, 10 a.m.
Okay. All right.
Is that date and time gonna work with your calendar, Attorney Miliotto?
Yeah, I was just pulling up one moment. Yes, that's fine.
Okay, we'll be adjourned. Thank you.
What did he say?
Sorry, who's this?
What's this?
Yeah, one sequence.
Oh, so nice.
Looks like we have a victim wanted in this case. I believe the victim required expansion.
Presente por Zoom.
Does Mr. Cifuentes need a Spanish interpreter or just the
Sí,
victim?
la interpretación se-
Sí.
Ok, yes, he does.
We'll call the state of Wisconsin versus Juan Cifuentes Gavilanes.
Vamos a llamar al caso del estado de Wisconsin contra Juan Cifuentes Gavilanes,
It's 26 CM 168.
26 CM 168.
Appearances.
Preséntense los que compadecen.
The state appears by ADA Ben Wagner.
Ben Wagner para el estado.
Juan Cifuentes Gavilanes appears in person in custody with attorney Miles Leon.
El acusado Juan Cifuentes Gavilanes está presente, representado por su abogado Miles Leon.
This time we've received a copy of the criminal complaint. It would waive any further reading. He's been found not eligible for the public defender. And I would just ask that if the interpreter could ask if this is a correct address for him on the complaint.
Hemos recibido una copia de la denuncia penal. Renunciamos a la lectura formal y quisiéramos preguntarle al señor si la dirección que figura en la denuncia es la correcta.
It's the
¿La correcta? Sí. Yes.
right. We do have Spanish interpreter Fami Filipiak. She's been sworn for our hearings.
Tenemos la intérprete Marifei Filipia, que ya ha prestado juramento para estas audiencias.
I'll make findings of probable cause and enter not guilty, please.
Voy a hacer determinaciones de prueba suficiente y voy a sentar declaraciones de no culpable.
I believe we do have a victim who wanted to make a statement.
Tenemos presente una víctima que quisiera hablar,
I think they're
hacer una
unmuted.
declaración.
We would just need you to identify yourself first.
Primero necesitamos que se identifique.
Mi nombre es Abril Onofre.
My name is April Onofre o Abril Onofre.
Yo retiro los cargos. Entiendo que el juez es el que da la última palabra por la ley que está en el estado de Wisconsin, pero de mi parte no pongo ningún cargo.
I withdraw the charges and I understand I don't have the last word according to the laws of Wisconsin, but I don't wish to have him have any charges.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Onofre.
Muy bien, gracias, señor Onofre.
For the court reporter's benefit, I think that's spelled Abril, A-B-R-I-L, Onofre, O-N-O-F-R-E.
Para el beneficio del estenógrafo, eso se escribe A-B-R-I-L-O-R-O-F-R-E.
Sí.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Ms. Onofre, for your input.
Gracias por sus palabras, señor Onofre.
Attorney Wagner, what's your position?
Licencia Wagner, ¿qué opina usted?
The state has no objection to a signature bond.
El Estado no se opone a que él firme su fianza.
However, the state is asking for conditions that the defendant not have any contact with Abril O.S. or her child.
Sin embargo, el Estado está pidiendo que este acusado no tenga ningún contacto con Abril o S ni su niño o hijo.
And that he be banned from the 600 block of Schiller Street in Sun Prairie.
Y que ponga una prohibición a que no se acerque a la cuadra 600 de Schiller Street en Sun Prairie.
Although the victim is asking for the charges to be dropped, as we just heard,
Y aunque la víctima está pidiendo retirar los cargos, tal como acabamos de escuchar,
the details in the complaint are pretty significant, and I think that bail conditions are appropriate to protect her and the public.
Sin embargo, los detalles en la denuncia penal son bastante importantes y creo que condiciones de fianza son importantes o necesarios para protegerle a ella y al público.
It should also be noted that the victim did enforce the 72-hour no contact.
También quisiera notar que la víctima en este caso sí hizo cumplir la orden de no contacto de 72 horas.
But then the following day had waived it.
Y de ahí al siguiente día ella tomó la decisión de renunciar a esa audiencia.
I think that at this point, for purposes of protecting her, I think that that they should not have contact with one another.
Y a esta altura, para el propósito de protegerle a ella, yo creo que no deben tener ningún contacto.
Any objection from the defense?
Muy bien, ¿alguna objeción por parte de la defensa?
No objection.
No tenemos objeciones.
And if I enter the no contact, is there someplace else that Mr. Cifuentes is going to be able to stay at?
Y si firmo esta orden de no tener contacto, el señor Cifuentes tiene otro lado donde él puede ir a quedarse. Yes.
Do you have that address handy today?
¿Tiene usted disponible esa dirección el día de hoy? No. Oh, I just got it, so.
Okay, so I will order the signature bonds. You're going to get released.
Muy bien, voy a ordenar que usted firme su fianza, así que usted va a ser puesto en libertad.
I'll order the no contact director and direct with Abril OS and her child.
Voy a ordenar que usted no tenga ningún contacto ni directo ni indirectamente con Abril o ese o su hijo.
I'll order a ban from the 600 block of Schiller Street.
Voy a ordenar que usted tiene prohibido entrar en la cuadra 600 de Schiller Street.
If you still needed to get any items from the residents, you could contact the City of Sun Prairie Police Department, but you'd need to be in their presence when you go there to get those items.
Si usted necesita alguna pertenencia que usted todavía tiene en esa dirección, usted va a llegar o va a pedir la policía que la acompañe para recoger sus cosas. No puede ir sin policía a esa dirección.
When you figure out that new address, make sure that you let the court know where you want your mail sent.
Y una vez que usted tenga esa dirección nueva, asegúrese de notificarnos aquí en la corte para recibir sus correspondencias de la corte en esa dirección.
In the interim, you can sign up for text message reminders just to make sure you don't miss future court hearings.
Mientras tanto, usted puede apuntarse para que le manden mensajes textos recordatorios para que usted no falte a sus fechas de corte.
If you have a lawyer at that point, you can have them update the court.
Y si usted tiene un abogado a esa altura, el abogado puede actualizar a la corte.
If you can't afford to hire an attorney, you can always reapply with the public defender and they've given you that contact info.
Y si usted no puede pagar un abogado privado, usted siempre tiene el derecho de aplicar para un abogado defensor público y creo que ya le han entregado esa información.
All right, and we'll be adjourned.
Con eso se levanta la sesión.
We're done as a snack, we're not, sir. And Carl's gonna take over. So have a good afternoon.
Yes, take care.
Thanks, Miles. Yeah, there's not this. Yeah.
You'll be doing this next on.
Okay.
All right, we'll call the state of Wisconsin versus Sylvester Ordonez. It's 26 CM 169. Appearances.
ADA Carl Lassers for the state.
Sylvester Ordonez appears in person in custody with attorney Miles Leon. We have received a copy of the criminal complaint. It would waive any further reading at this time. He is eligible for the public defender and confirmed his address as the one on the complaint.
Pasemos a la lectura formal de la demanda o la denuncia penal. Él es elegible para un abogado defensor público y hemos confirmado su dirección que figura en la demanda.
Right, and we have certified Spanish interpreter Amy Filipiak, who's been sworn for our hearings.
Ella ya prestó juramento para estas audiencias.
I'll make findings of probable cause and enter not guilty, please.
Voy a hacer determinaciones de prueba suficiente y voy a sentar declaraciones de no culpable.
Attorney Lazarus, your position on bail?
Fiscal Lázaro, ¿qué opina usted sobre la fianza?
Yes, Your Honor, may I just have one moment?
Sí, su señoría, si me permite.
And this is Sylvester Ordonez.
Yes. Yes, Your Honor. The state would ask for $300 cash bond. The reason for the state's, and we'd also ask for non-monetary conditions of no contact with Brian, BRYAN, last initial R, and a ban from the Pick and Save at 3010 Cahill, Maine, in the city of Fitchburg. The main reason for the cash bond request is this is now the third open case within the last 6 months.
Right, and Attorney Leon?
Licenciado León,
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, we'd ask that you consider a lower cash bond or a signature bond in this matter. Mr. Ordonez does have some connections to the area. He's lived in Dane County for about 2 years and obviously was recently employed in the area as well. He's also eligible for the public defender, and I do think even a small amount of cash would likely be burdensome and difficult for him to post and keep him in custody for an extended period of time. For all those reasons, we'd ask that you consider a signature bond or a lower cash bond in this matter. Thank you.
And just to clarify, does the state have that third
Sorry.
case?
Just take 1 minute.
Oh, wait, he needs to talk to Attorney Leon, that's fine.
Brian, come in.
Okay.
And real life.
Thank you for that moment, Your Honor. And if I could just briefly, Mr. Ordonez wanted me to inform you that he was able to apologize to the person that no contact is being asked for. So I think that does show his remorse and knowing that this is a serious situation.
Eso demuestra su remordimiento en este caso.
All right, and I have answered my own question that I was gonna ask.
Contesté la pregunta que iba a hacer.
Looks like 25 CM 1723 is the other case. I think we're at the point where there's a need for some cash bail. We're now on case number 3.
Estamos en el caso número 3,
I'll set that amount at $250.
$150.
Order a no contact director and direct with Brian R.
Directamente con Brian R.
And a ban from the Pick and Save at 3010 Cahill, Maine in Fitchburg, and we'll be adjourned.
Con eso se levanta la sesión.
Hey, this way, sir.
Que pase con el oficial.
Next is Thompson, Olivia Thompson, you guys know.
That it was Spanish?
I don't know.
So.
Not yet.
Your Honor,
Is that me?
I was just gonna say, I know there's one more, just from a victim witness standpoint, Erica Rodriguez. Oh, my mistake, yeah. And my understanding is, I think the victim intends to speak and will also require the assistance of an interpreter in the Erica Aurores Rodriguez case.
I don't think that's removed.
Okay, I appreciate that information. We're all set. We'll call the state of Wisconsin versus Olivia Thompson, 26 CM 165 appearances.
ADA Carl Lassers for the state.
Olivia Thompson appears via video in custody of the Dane County Jail with Attorney Miles Leon in the courtroom. This time we have received a copy of the complaint. I would waive any further reading at this time, and she has been found eligible for the public defender's office. The address that I have been provided by our office is 318 Kent Lane, Unit 104, zip code 53713.
Great, and we'll make a finding of probable cause and are not guilty pleas. There's a public safety assessment. Reporter recommends cash bail. Ms. Thompson, if you can hear everything okay, give us a thumbs up in the window. All right, see a thumbs up. What's the state's position on bail?
Yes, for Ms. Thompson, the state would ask for $500 cash bond, conditions of no contact with individuals with the initials ASM and MSS, condition of no alcohol. The reason for the cash bond request is because this is now Ms. Thompson's third open case. I show at least notes in my file that there were bench warrants issued on October 17th of 2025, July 14th of 2023, January 27th of 2023, and then a more dated failure to appear from January 8th of 2020. Given that information, it does appear that some cash bond is appropriate. Count 3 alleges the use of a dangerous weapon, which would be an Act 3 eligible offense. the other two cases that I'm aware of would be 25 CM 2853 and 25 CM 1652. There is in 25 CM 1652, there is a misdemeanor battery count, which would also be an Act 3 eligible offense. And then in 25 CM 2853, there is another count of disorderly conduct alleging the use of a dangerous weapon, which would also be an Act 3 eligible offense. I think under a likelihood to appear analysis and an Act 3 analysis, this amount of cash bond is the minimum amount necessary to ensure Ms. Thompson's future appearance in court and to protect the public.
Attorney Leon.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, we'd ask that you consider a lower cash bond or a signature bond in this matter. Ms. Thompson does have some strong ties to the area. Obviously, the address that was just provided, but I also have information that suggests that she's really lived in Dane County, not just Wisconsin, but Dane County for her entire life. Understanding that count 3 would be Act 3 eligible, I do think it's important to note, while I understand anything can be used as a weapon, the thing that was used here is alleged to have been used as a bottle rather than something that is traditionally just held out as a weapon. I do think that does cut in her favor to an extent here, knowing that it wasn't the allegations aren't of her using a knife or a gun or anything like that. It was something that is otherwise a regular household or, I guess, grocery item for this case. For all those reasons, we'd ask that you consider a signature bond or a lower cash bond in this matter, Your Honor.
I don't see it as a signature bond case. She's at the very top of the scale for failure to appear, 2 or more failures to appear in the last 2 years as outlined by Attorney Lazarus, and another one a bit older than that. It's a concerning appearance history. It's also concerning that she keeps picking up cases, and obviously the exposure just goes up. She's making a promise every time she signs her bond that she's going to abide by specific conditions, make court dates, and not pick up any new charges. And so I question those promises. I think there's a decent Act 3 argument here as well, though. She was out on an Act 3 eligible offense, picked up another case which was an Act 3 eligible offense, and then she now has another Act 3 eligible offense. Suggests to me that simple signature bonds aren't sufficient to protect the public, and that maybe she needs some money on the line. And coming to that conclusion, I think I could have been persuaded to ask or order something more than the $500 that was asked for. I'm not going to go over it, but I'm not going to go below it. I'll set $500 cash bail, order a no contact director and direct with ASM MSS, and that she not possess or consume any alcohol, and we'll be adjourned.
Rodriguez is next. Rodriguez.
Sid Rodriguez. Arez.
I believe the victim will need interpretation.
Okay.
All right, we'll call the state of Wisconsin versus Erica Arez Rodriguez, 26 CF 165, appearances.
Vamos a llamar el caso del estado de Wisconsin contra Erika Arauz Rodríguez, 26 CF 165. Preséntense los que compadecen.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
El fiscal Carl Lazarus para el estado.
Erica Araz Rodriguez appears in person in custody with Attorney Miles Leon.
El acusado Erika Arauz Rodríguez se está presente en persona, bajo custodia y con su abogado Miles Leon.
We have received a copy of the complaint and would waive any formal reading at this time. She has been found eligible for the public defender, and the listed address on the complaint is correct.
Hemos recibido una copia de la denuncia penal, renunciamos una lectura formal del mismo, le han determinado elegible para un abogado defensor público y la dirección que figura en la demanda es la correcta.
Right, I'll make a finding of probable cause and enter a not guilty plea to the misdemeanor.
Voy a determinar prueba suficiente y voy a sentar una declaración de no culpable al cargo menor.
We have a victim, I believe, on Zoom.
Tenemos una víctima presente, yo creo, por Zoom.
I think they're on a phone, so they need to hit *6 to unmute.
Creo que están presentes por teléfono y creo que tienen que darle a estrella 6 para activar su micrófono.
And then if they could identify themselves, then we'll hear what they have to say about bail or bond conditions.
Si pueden hacer eso y identificarse para antes de hablar, podemos escuchar lo que opina sobre la fianza.
So if we, all right, I think the victim's unmuted. Can you identify yourself?
Ok, creo que la víctima tiene su micrófono activado. ¿Usted se puede identificar?
Edwin Antonio Blandón Celedón.
Edwin Antonio Blandón Celerón.
And what do you wish to say, sir?
¿Y qué quisiera decir, señor?
Pues solamente unas recomendaciones.
Just recommendations.
Yep, I'm happy to hear your recommendations.
Sí, adelante, con gusto le escucho.
Pues bien, yo simplemente pues no pido nada para Erika. Pasó esto tal vez porque ella estaba en enojo, pero ella es una muy buena persona y pues no le.
Ok, permítame la intérprete. Well, I simply am not asking for anything for Erica. This happened, but she's a good person. Adelante. ¿Algo más, señor?
Ella es una buena pareja, pues una madre.
And I think she's a good
Sí.
partner.
Ella es una muy buena madre, buena ama de casa, una mujer muy trabajadora, pues.
She's a very good mother.
Sí.
She's a very hard worker, and she takes good care of the home.
All right, thank you, sir. And just to clarify, are you seeking that she be allowed to have contact with you and be at your residence?
Gracias, señor. Y para que quede claro, usted está pidiendo tener contacto con ella y permitir que ella se quede con usted en su casa.
Sí, está bien.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Blandon Zeladon.
Muy bien, gracias, señor Blandón Celerón.
For the benefit of the court reporter, I think that last name is spelled BLANDON ZELEDON.
Para el estenógrafo se escribe BLANDON ZELEDON.
What's the state's position on bail?
¿Qué opina el Estado sobre la fianza?
We'd ask for a signature bond and a condition of no acts or threats to Edwin, last two initials BZ.
Estamos pidiendo que ella firme su fianza y que en libertad bajo fianza ella no dirige ningún acto ni amenaza de violencia contra Edwin BZ.
Any objections?
¿Alguna objeción?
No objection.
No tenemos objeciones.
Okay, I'll order a signature bond with conditions that you direct no acts or threats of violence towards Edwin BZ.
Entonces voy a firmar os voy a permitir que usted salga en libertad bajo su firma, con la condición de que no dirige ningún acto ni amenaza de violencia contra Edwin BZ.
She has the right to a preliminary hearing in 20 days.
Ella tiene derecho a una audiencia preliminar en 20 días.
I have the assistance of the interpreter too.
Luego de 2 días. Usted va a salir de los datos. Aquellos van a permitir que vamos a hacer. Está bien poder celebrar esa audiencia. Y eso para que la audiencia. Si permitimos renunciar los límites de tiempo, eso quiere decir que no van a poner la fecha de esa audiencia tan rápido, va a tener más tiempo, no se puede la abogada. ¿Está bien?
Thank you for that moment. Ms. Aras Rodriguez is okay with waiving time limits at this point.
Gracias por ese momentito. La señora Arauz está de acuerdo en renunciar a los límites de tiempo en este momento.
Okay, we'll be adjourned. Thank you.
Muy bien, se levanta la sesión. Gracias.
Who's next?
That be it for Spanish?
Do we need anything else with Tammy?
I think that's all for that turn.
All right, thanks.
That's hard. Wilkins? Yeah.
Oh, sir.
Call the state of Wisconsin versus Davion Wilkins is 26 CF 153 appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
Davion Wilkins appears in person in custody with attorney Miles Leone. We have received a copy of the criminal complaint and would waive any further reading at this time. Mr. Wilkins is eligible for the public defender and has confirmed the address on the complaint as being correct.
I'll make findings of probable cause, enter the not guilty plea to the misdemeanor, state's position on bail.
Yes, we'd ask for a signature bond with the conditions of no controlled substances or drug paraphernalia without a valid prescription and a ban from all Best Buy store locations.
Yes, yes.
No objection.
Okay, I'll go along with a signature bond, order that you not use or possess any controlled substances or drug paraphernalia without a valid prescription, a ban from any Best Buy store locations. I don't know if there's a non-extraditable warrant out there, Mr. Wilkins. There was reference to that. If there's some sort of misdemeanor warrant or a warrant that's, you know, limited by counties or something, you may want to take care of that eventually. But that, I don't think that's something that's going to keep you in custody after today. I think you're going to get released. What about the time limits?
Can you repeat that? Yes.
You have a right to a preliminary hearing in the next 20 days to see if the state can show probable cause that a felony's been committed.
What do you think? Because I really don't know. Yeah, that's fine.
He's okay with waiving the time limits, Your Honor.
Okay, we are adjourned.
Burrell is next. Burrell.
We'll go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus SAKI Burrell. It's 26 CF 143 appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
SAKI Burrell appears in person in custody with attorney Miles Leone. This time we have received a copy of the criminal complaint. Would waive any further reading. He is eligible for the public defender. You update the address. Tell me the address, please.
Non-capital court order K.
9
KATHERINE court.
And the zip code
53718.
and no apartment?
No, sir.
All right, you got that?
9 Catherine Court, 53718 Madison. Is there an apartment number? Thank you.
Right, I'll make a finding of probable cause, state's position on bail.
Yes, Your Honor, may I just have one moment? Yes, thank you, Your Honor. The state is asking for $1,000 cash bond and a condition not to operate a motor vehicle. And also, the state is asking for a curfew from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. The reason for the cash bond request is this is the third pending felony case. In the last pending felony case, 25 CF 2864, Mr. Burrell posted $2,000 cash bond. And that was back in December. And then in 25 CF 436, which was I believe a flee elude enhanced causing property damage, Mr. Burrell posted $500 cash bond. The state believes that $1,000 cash bond is appropriate given the third pending felony case. I think the no operating a motor vehicle is consistent with the bond conditions in 25 CF 436. And the curfew, I think, is appropriate. Mr. Burrell is still technically a teenager. The flee elude, which was again enhanced and aggravated because it ended with a crash into an innocent bystander's vehicle in the city of Monona. That occurred, I believe, at about 1:30 in the morning. Here, this case, Mr. Burrell, I think, is seen driving also at around 1:30 in the morning. It might help him just to have a curfew. I know pretrial services is not taking new referrals, but perhaps there could be a curfew in place just to keep Mr. Burrell from going out at night. And no further argument.
And Attorney Leon.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, we'd ask you consider a lower cash bond between $300 and $400 or a signature bond in this matter. First, just to note the bonds that were previously posted in this case, Mr. Burrell tells me, and my understanding is that the larger bond, the $2,000, was something that he had to be helped with posting, and I don't believe it came from him. Understanding that there's a history of that amount of bond being posted, I don't think it means necessarily that's able to be repeated. And in fact, Mr. Burrell is telling me now that he wouldn't be able to post that at all. Furthermore, I think it's important to note here, understanding he's not supposed to be behind the wheel of a vehicle at all. The reason he was pulled over and even had police contact was because of more or less a rolling stop. From my understanding of in my review of the complaint here, I think it's positive that he wasn't pulled over for reckless driving or behavior that was similar to why has this bond here in the first place. Finally, I would just note that he has some strong ties to the area. He's been in Dane County for 7 years, Wisconsin for his entire life. He provided to the court a Madison address, and he's also currently represented by a public defender in our office here, so he has contact with the court. I didn't hear any meaningful history of miscourt from the state here today. I do understand the concerns here, but he is a very young person, and I do think that comes into play here as well. And I think the fact that he was pulled over again for a rolling stop rather than similar conduct, even though he shouldn't be behind the vehicle, does say a lot here as well. So for all those reasons, we'd ask that you consider a lower cash bond between $300 and $400 or a signature bond.
I don't see it as a signature bond case. It's concerning, Mr. Burrell. Things don't usually get better on bond when you've posted cash bail and then you continue to pick up cases. You need to follow the specific conditions that you're making, essentially a promise that you're going to do that. I'm willing to set a little bit lesser cash bail given the nature of this particular charge. I'll set it at $600. I am going to order that you not operate a motor vehicle. That's already a condition in an underlying case. I can't change that. The cops know who's subject to certain bail conditions, and you're just going to get yourself in trouble if you're going to be out riding around and driving a vehicle. I'm not going to order the curfew at this time. Certainly, if you violate these conditions, they can move to forfeit the bail. That's the statutes say the bail shall be forfeited for violating conditions of bail. It's not just showing up to court. So whoever's posting this for you, or you, if you're posting it, it's subject to forfeiture. Bear that in mind. And if we're back here again, there might be a curfew, there might be pretrial services and a lot higher cash bail. I don't want to see that. Okay. What about time limits for the preliminary hearing?
This time we'd ask that, or one moment, actually.
Yeah, you'd have the right to have it within 10 days since I said the 600.
I guess the attorney Lencioni represents him on other cases and is asking that this new case gets set on the 2nd of February. So based on that request, I think we'd be waiving the time limits in this case, Your Honor.
Okay, and is there something with the duty judge or commissioner and other cases?
Prelim related status conference with the commissioner on the 2nd. That would be within 20, and it might be within 10 business days, but it's a status conference on a prelim. I could set both cases for a prelim within the statutory time limits, or I could set both of these for the status conference if you just want to wait for the time limits.
I'm just not sure of her position. I guess I'm gonna. So what you're saying is that 2-2 is not within the 10 days, right? No.
It's like just conference. It's not a prelim.
Okay.
The other cases has bind over yet. So if we wanted to set this one at that same time that already exists, then it would be a time limit waiver.
Well, just in light of the cash bond, I think I'm going to ask that you enforce time limits.
I can schedule the other case at the same time as this new case for a prelim.
Okay, I think that would make the most sense. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep, makes sense. We are adjourned.
Sure. Roll for next, Samuel. Roll for.
Great, we'll go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus Samuel Rolfer. That's 26 CF 151. We also have a bail bond hearing in 25 CF 1187. Appearances.
88 Carl Lazarus for the state.
Samuel Rolfer appears in person in custody with attorney Miles Leone. I've received copies of both criminal complaints. This time we'd waive any formal reading. He is eligible for the public defender. Current address would be 1819 Aberg Avenue, Suite D, Madison, Wisconsin, 53704.
Great, I'll make findings of probable cause and are not guilty pleas to the misdemeanors. There's a PSA report that recommends a signature bond. State's position on bail in each of the cases.
Yes, Your Honor. May I just have one moment? Can I inquire of the court in the 25 CF 1187, is this bail hearing primarily related to the pretrial services violation report from August 19th? That's the most recent one I see.
I don't. Yes and no. So what happened was there was a warrant for a pretrial services violation. And then there was a court hearing on October 6th of 2025. He didn't show up for that. And when there's a failure to appear, I think the preference is that we get rid of the warrant on the pretrial services violation and issue a body only warrant for the failure to appear. So I think there was a warrant for the violation, but then he also didn't show up in court almost a couple months later.
Thank you, Your Honor. If I may just have one more moment.
Maybe to add a little bit more context to that, the pretrial service violation warrant that was issued was in the amount of $500. That was intended to be the new bail, but.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. In 25 CF 1187, the bail bond case, the state would ask for $500 cash bond. That's in light of the failure to appear and the pretrial services violations. And I guess what's concerning is I think pretrial services will not be able to take Mr. Rolfer because they're closed and I don't know how that works. I think they wouldn't have
I
anything.
think he wasn't really being monitored by pretrial services once the warrant was issued. So I don't know that they could take him back.
The state would note that's somewhat concerning. I understand an OWI 4th is on Act 3 offense, but it is concerning that there's no pretrial services in place. An OWI 4th, or I should say a PAC 4th, still a felony and still, I believe, a Class H felony. In the newest case, 26 CF 151, the state would ask for $750 cash bond, a ban from the 700 block of Troy Drive, and a condition not to possess or consume alcohol. The reason for those requests is that I believe there was a failure to appear. I think it's what Your Honor just mentioned from October 5th of 2025 and the other case. Also, there's an allegation of bail jumping, and there's also an allegation that Mr. Rolfer lied about his name when he was contacted by law enforcement. So under a non-Act 3 analysis, it does appear that there are concerns about Mr. Rolfer's future appearance in court.
And Attorney Long.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, we'd ask that you consider a signature bond or low cash bonds in both matters. As far as the more recent case, I would just note that I believe the PSA is recommending a signature bond here, and I do think that should be taken into account. Furthermore, though, I would just note that he has strong ties to the area from what I can see. He's lived in Dane County for 16 years, and he's been in Wisconsin for his entire life. He also has 2 children that reside in Wisconsin as well, and currently he is self-employed. He does carpentry work, and I can only presume that that's also around the Dane County or Madison area, considering that's where he lives. So I do think he has very strong ties to the area here that can help assure the court he's not going anywhere, and he will be at the future court dates. I do understand some of the other concerns are that his compliance with the non-monetary conditions of bond. That said, even though there was an issue that resulted in a warrant, I think it being gone now, the pretrial services not being available, this is a different situation than somebody who's coming in for the first time and was never going to get the benefit of those services. He had the benefit of them. It helped him be out on a signature bond. And it's not his fault that they're gone now completely. So I do think for that reason that it should be taken into account and not held against him as much because of that. For those reasons, we'd ask that you consider a lower cash bond or a signature bond, Your Honor.
Well, I mean, on that last point, it was kind of in his hands. He was in pretrial services. If he complied with that, showed up to court, and didn't have the bench warrant, he could still be in pretrial services as opposed to the people who get newly arrested and weren't on pretrial services. So his actions played a role in that. Had he acted in a different manner, he'd be on pretrial services. I'm concerned for multiple reasons. He's picking up new cases. He's lying about who he is, which is just something that commonly seems to happen when people have warrants. They didn't start magically lying about who they are. That doesn't give me a lot of confidence he's going to show up without cash bail. He wasn't complying with pretrial services. I'm not really sure that it was all that useful to him, and he wasn't showing up to court. I am concerned I don't have pretrial services. Not a lot I can do about that. In 25 CF 1187, I'll set $1,000 cash bail, order that he not possess or consume alcohol, not operate a motor vehicle. In 26 CF 151, I think those are the less severe charges. I'll set $500 cash bail, a no alcohol, and then a ban from the 700 block of Troy Drive. Did I overlook any of the non-monetary conditions, Attorney Lazarus, in that case?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. We can set timely preliminary hearings in these matters if he would like.
Yes, we'd ask to enforce time limits.
Okay, we will do that, and then we are adjourned.
Randall, what's next? Marcus Randall, forfeiture via Zoom. Okay.
Right, we'll call the County of Dane versus Marcus Reynolds. It's 26 FO 126 appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the county. The defendant appears in custody via Zoom without counsel.
All right, and Mr. Reynolds, the good news is you're not getting charged with a crime. I don't think there's anything else holding you, so I think you're going to get released today no matter what happens. They will have an offer. If you want to accept that offer, then you can be done with the case. If you don't, you're still going to get released. Looks like we've got the job center as a mailing address. Is that a good place for you to get mail? If so, give me a thumbs up.
No, sir. No, sir.
Where's the best place to get mail?
4006 Nakusa Trail.
Okay, we'll get that updated, and then we'll turn to the DA and see what they're offering.
Yes, Your Honor. We'd offer to resolve this case for a plea of guilty or no contest for a fine of court costs only.
Okay, so if you wanted to accept their offer, you'd have to pay $114.50 in the next 60 days, or work out a payment plan with the clerk's office if you need more time. Did you want to accept their offer, or do you want to contest the charges?
I'll accept it.
Okay, I'll judge you guilty of the charge based upon your no contest plea, or you pay the court cost of $114.50. You'll get processed and released yet today. They'll give you some information about sending in the payment. We are adjourned. Take care, sir.
Adams is next. Adams.
We'll call the state of Wisconsin versus DeAndre Adams, 26 CF 145 appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
DeAndre Adams appears in person in custody with attorney Miles Leone. This time we have received a copy of the criminal complaint and we would waive any further reading. Mr. Adams was found not eligible for the public defender. And I would like to update his address. The current address is 615 East Washington Avenue, Madison, Wisconsin, 53703.
Okay, and Mr. Adams, they've given you the public defender information. You have the right to an attorney. If you can't hire one after today, you can always reapply with the public defender, or if you're kind of caught in the middle, you could apply for a county appointed attorney, okay? I'll make findings of probable cause and are not guilty plea to the misdemeanor, state's position on bail.
Yes, Your Honor. The state would ask for $500 cash bond with a condition of no contact with Donald T. and a ban from the men's shelter on Zaire Road. The reason for the cash bond request is because battery to an elderly person is an Act 3 offense. Additionally, I do not believe Mr. Adams has any history in Dane County, and certainly non-relevant to an Act 3 analysis. I do believe that Mr. Adams has convictions for Act 3 offenses out of Milwaukee County, specifically, I believe it is 2012 CF 545, which granted was back in 2012, but it was a conviction for robbery with threat of force. And I believe there's also, let me just have one moment, Your Honor.
Sure.
Again, going back a little ways, also in Milwaukee County, another Act 3 conviction for physical abuse of a child, intentional cause harm with the probability of great bodily harm, Class F felony, at least at the time, in 2011 CF 2777. I realize those are somewhat dated offenses, but they are Act 3 eligible. This is an Act 3 case. The state does believe that the amount of cash bond and non-monetary conditions are appropriate.
And Attorney Leon.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, we'd ask that you consider a lesser cash bond or a signature bond in this matter. First, I would just note that Mr. Adams does have some strong ties to the area. He provided an address that's here in Madison. He's been in Wisconsin for his entire life. I also have information suggesting that he's working right now, has had that job since November 2025, and also has family in the area. So I think that's a whole host of things that are keeping him here and can help assure the court and the state that he's going to appear at all his future court dates. I guess now to move to the Act 3 part of this, I do understand some of the state's concerns here. I agree with their small concession at the end that some of those are a bit dated. But I think what sticks out to me here is that the initial reading of the complaint comes across that this is a kind of an unprovoked entirely. And then I think as you get deeper into the complaint, we can see that there was maybe some argument that was witnessed beforehand. Not to say that that gives any reason for Mr. Adams, if that's what happened to have done what's alleged here, but I think it just goes to show that it wasn't maybe something that's entirely unprovoked. What I think is actually more important here are the non-monetary conditions that are being asked for, because this is something where I think there's one specific victim, there was an existing relationship beforehand, and I think that non-monetary condition, if abided by, kind of solves the problem here that we're looking at, the concern for the public. I think it can be a lot more narrow than that. It's really a concern for this victim here too, and mainly for this victim here. So for that reason, I would ask that you consider a lower cash bond or a signature bond here. I do understand the state's position, but I don't believe the need to protect the public here is as high as they do. And I think that kind of local and their known relationship between the two of them here is the reason for that.
All right. It's an Act 3 eligible offense. Certainly one of the factors I have to take into account is affirmative defenses. So I think Attorney Leon's trying to touch on that point, that maybe there's provocation or self-defense, or obviously there's always the defense that he's just not guilty. I think if the prior convictions, which are serious charges, were within the last 5 years, I'd probably have a different take on this and think, well, maybe we do need some cash bail. It is quite dated, you know, absent him having been in prison for the last 10 years and then getting released and he's only out for a couple of years and then committing another offense. I might see it differently. I guess I'm not persuaded cash is necessary in this case. I'm going to order a signature bond. I'll order a no contact direct with Donald T. and a ban from the men's shelter on Zaire Road. He would have the right to a preliminary hearing though in the next 20 days.
We'll enforce the time limits, Your Honor.
Okay, we are adjourned.
Co-laws next, co-law.
I don't think there's a complaint for this one, is that right? Yeah.
That's correct, Your Honor. I do have a piece of paperwork and I'm trying to locate those, sorry.
Sure. All right, we'll call the group file on the bail hearing for Arsene C. Kala, 26 GF 37004. Appearances?
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
Arsene C. Kala appears in person in custody with attorney Miles Leone. Obviously, no complaint that I've been provided nor probable cause statement in this file, but I will inform the court
I
that he.
think the clerk is probably
Oh.
just printed that out. He's.
Okay, sorry, I'm just not sure.
Yeah, no, he's pretty good at doing that.
Amazing, thank you.
And while you're taking a look at that, I can tell you that Judge TRAMELL found probable cause for the charge
Thank you.
of physical abuse to a child. And then there's also a public safety assessment that you should have, recommends a signature bond. Has your office evaluated Mr. C. Kala for an attorney?
Yes, he was evaluated. He's not eligible for the public defender.
Okay, so sir, the deputy's gonna give you the public defender info. If you can't hire an attorney on your own after today, you can apply for a county attorney. That's the middle option, or reapply with the public defender. Is there a good place for him to get mail from the court?
Yes, it would be 234 Randolph Drive, apartment 314. 314D.
All right, thank you.
Is there a zip code?
53717.
5317, thanks.
All right, and under Rule 206, we were supposed to have a complaint and a bail hearing. We don't have a complaint. What do you know about that, Attorney Lazarus?
I believe that the state will need perhaps as long as a month before a complaint can be expected. I will let the court know that we are asking for a signature bond with the condition of no contact with child one, whose initials are EK, and a condition of no alcohol.
Right, and any objections?
No objection.
Okay, we'll order a signature bond. Condition will be a no contact direct or indirect with EK, and that you not possess or consume any alcohol. They'll give you a court notice. We're gonna set this for an out of custody initial appearance that you'll have to come back for, and we'll see whether they've got criminal charges filed or not. All right, good luck. We are adjourned.
Lytle is next via Zoom.
You gonna be up? Or you gonna be down? I gotta close this. Oh, you wanna be down?
Elijah Lytle. Oh, thank you. That's great.
All right, we'll call the state of Wisconsin versus Elijah Lytle. That's 26 CF 150. We also have a couple of pretrial services violation cases that need to be addressed. Those are 25 CF 1402 and 25 CF 1067 appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
Elijah Lytle appears via video from the Dane County Jail. Attorney Miles Leone appears in the courtroom. I believe I've received a copy of each of the complaints, Your Honor. This time we would waive any further reading. He has been found eligible for the public defender, and the current address I have for him is 721 North Midvale Boulevard, Unit 3, Madison, Wisconsin, 53705.
I'll make a finding of probable cause and or not guilty pleas to the misdemeanors. There's a PSA report recommends cash bail, and we got to address bail on the other cases as well. Just before we do that, I want to make sure, Mr. Lytle, give us a thumbs up if you can hear us okay.
John, I can hear you just fine, and I'd like to let you know that I'd be unable to post any cash bail.
Okay, appreciate that. You may not want to make any other statements and talk about the facts of the case because it's being recorded, could be used against you. You've got an experienced attorney who's going to assist you with the bail arguments today. Attorney Lazarus, your position on bail?
Yes, Your Honor. In 26 CF 150, the newest case, the state is asking for $2,000 cash bond. Banned from UW Hospital except for legitimate medical emergencies. And the reason for that request has largely to do with the the numerous open cases. I believe in this case, there was violent resisting with law enforcement. There's 4 open felony cases where he's been ordered to commit no new crimes. Cash bond has been posted in at least one of those cases.
I think maybe they all ultimately got reduced to signature bonds and pretrial services.
Understood. And the state would note that obviously pretrial services is no longer available. And as for the, is there a bail hearing in the 4 other cases?
The only ones I have on today are 25 CF 1067 and 25 CF 1402.
Okay, thank you. In 25 CF 1067, the which alleges attempted battery and 2 counts of felony bail jumping, the state would ask for specifically, I think perhaps I showed that at one point the commissioner had ordered $3,500 cash bond in that case, and a ban from the State Street Langdon area. I understand that was reduced later on to a signature bond with pretrial services. However, it's concerning that is an Act 3 offense, and pretrial services is no longer available. And then in 25 CF 1402, I can't remember if throwing or discharging bodily fluids is an Act 3 offense. I don't believe it is. Your Honor would know better than I would. In that case, though, we would ask for what was originally set by the commissioner in June of 2025, which was $350 cash bond, with no specific non-monetary conditions.
I don't believe it's an Act 3 offense, taking a look at the bail statute.
Sure.
And Attorney Leon.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, we'd ask that you consider lower cash bonds in each of these cases, or alternatively, signature bonds. Mr. Little, as he already has placed on the record himself, is eligible for the public defender. He's indigent, and I think even a small amount of cash is, first of all, going to be very meaningful for Mr. Little, but also help assure that he's going to appear at future court dates and comply with any non-monetary conditions that are set for him. He does have strong ties to the area. I see that he's lived in Dane County for 5 years and been in Wisconsin for his entire life. He has a significant amount of family in the area, including parents, siblings, as well as extended family. I think given those connections to the area, that a smaller amount of cash here or a signature bond would be appropriate. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So we're up to case number 7. Is that count right?
I know, I believe there are 4 open felony cases. I know this is, I think, the 5th open felony.
Well, we've got a PSA report. He's at the very top of the scale for new criminal activity. He's been found to need to have cash bail to assure appearance or protect the public. Previously, that got reduced, and then unfortunately, we're back here with another offense. I don't see any way around cash bail. In 25 CF 1607, I'm going to set $2,500 cash bail with the prior non-monetary conditions. I'm just eliminating pretrial services. They're overstaffed. It doesn't seem like it's been working.
Sure, I'd just like to clarify when you say prior non-monetary conditions, are those the conditions that were ordered at the original hearing, or the slightly modified and extremely specific conditions that were ordered later in conjunction?
Well, let me take a closer look at those. Yeah, I think just the State Street, Langdon ban map is appropriate. It looks to me like a number of those conditions were really related to the fact that he wasn't on cash bail and trying to make sure he was successful out on bail and with pretrial services. Obviously, I wasn't at that hearing. Judge McNamara made that decision, but when I read those notes, I think all the stuff related to Ms. Worthy were really designed to try and avoid being back here again. It doesn't appear as though that's worked. I don't think that's necessary to continue, so I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. In 25 CF 1402, I think the $500 cash bail is appropriate, and yes,
I believe all the conditions that were in that case were related to Ms. Worthy.
originally, you mean?
Not originally there were no conditions, but subsequently.
Ah, okay. So I think we'll eliminate all of those non-monetary conditions. It'll just be the statutory ones and removing pretrial services. And then in 26 CF 150, I'm going to set $1,500 cash bail order banned from the UW hospital except for legitimate medical emergencies. And I gather, given Mr. Little's statements, we should just get anything that's not past prelim scheduled for a timely preliminary hearing.
That would be my request. Thank you.
Okay, we will do that and we are adjourned.
Bartley is next.
Just go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus Leah Bartle. It's 26 CM 171 appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
Leah Bartle appears in person in custody with attorney Miles Leon. We have received a copy of the criminal complaint and at this time would waive any further reading. She's been found eligible for the public defender and actually, no, there's one small correction. Her current address would be 150 Schneider Road, apartment. It's 117. Oh, no. So actually what's on the complaint is correct. It's 1117, zip code 53590.
Okay, thank you. We'll make findings of probable cause and are not guilty pleas to the charges. State's position on bail.
Yes, the state would ask for a signature bond, conditions not to operate a motor vehicle without a valid driver's license, a condition of no alcohol, and nothing else.
Any objections?
No objection.
Order a signature bond. Condition will be that you not operate a motor vehicle unless you have a valid driver's license, that you not possess or consume any alcohol, and we'll be adjourned.
Thank you, sir.
Going is next. Melissa.
You wouldn't want to be seen. So I think afterwards, trying to argue all those cases. See mine, but you can argue on. All right, we'll go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus Melissa Going. That's 26 CF 147 appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
Melissa Going appears in person in custody with attorney Miles Leon. We have received a copy of the criminal complaint. This time we'd waive any further reading. She has been found eligible for the public defender and her address is currently listed as the Beacon.
Okay. We'll make a finding of probable cause and are not guilty pleas to any misdemeanors. The PSA report recommends cash bail. State's position on bail.
Yes, Your Honor. The state would ask for a signature bond, conditions of no contact with police officer Anthony V. or Deputy Carleem, CARLEEM, unless in their except in their official capacity, and a ban from the Madison Public Library, specifically the branch involved here, and no alcohol. I believe this is the downtown branch, but the state has no further argument.
All right, any objections?
No objection, Your Honor.
So it looks like it was on 201 West Mifflin Street. So order signature bond condition will be a no contact direct or indirect with Anthony V as in Victor, Deputy Carly M as in Mary, except as necessary in the ordinary course of their duties as law enforcement officers. A ban from Madison Public Library on 201 West Mifflin Street that you not possess or consume any alcohol. Is going, you might be getting a bit of a break here. The public safety assessment suggested, given the history, some cash might be appropriate. Please don't put yourself in a position to be back here again because they might be asking for cash. As to time limits for the preliminary hearing.
We'd be okay waiving the time limits in this matter, Your Honor.
Okay, we are adjourned.
Jenkins is next.
Ray, do you know how much time my office has for that complaint in that group file case?
Over on.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we'll call the state of Wisconsin versus Kira Jenkins. It's 25 CF 1082 appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
You want this one? This one, though. Yeah. So it's 6-1. Infant.
What's it?
Yeah, sorry, thank you.
I'm not sure if we got your full appearance.
I'm sorry, I was talking to the client. Yes, Kiara Jenkins appears in person in custody with attorney Miles Leon. This time we would waive any, I have received a copy of the complaint. We would waive any further reading. She has been found eligible for the public defender. The address that she'd like for mail to go to is 6108 DuPont Street in Flint, Michigan. I believe the zip code would be 48503.
Okay. So it looks like Ms. Jenkins got extradited back from DuPage County. I assume that's Illinois. On the warrant here, probable cause has been found. State's position on bail.
Yes, Your Honor. The state would ask for $1,500 cash bond. The only non-monetary condition would be not to use or possess any lottery tickets. The reason for the cash bond request, as alluded to by Your Honor, Ms. Jenkins's appearance here today is pursuant to an out-of-state extradition. In addition to the ties to Illinois, and specifically Wheaton, Illinois, I think possibly the defendant lives in Michigan. The state is concerned that I show an address in Flint, Michigan. This is not obviously the most serious case and certainly not an Act 3 case. I think Ms. Jenkins might have to be extradited again if sufficient cash bond is not set.
Okay, and Attorney Leon.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, we'd ask that you consider a significantly lower cash bond or a signature bond in this matter. First, I would just note that she is eligible for the public defender's office, so it's pretty sure that she'll be appointed somebody who'd help her navigate the process. While she did provide an address for mailing in Flint, Michigan, she's informed me right as soon as she got up here that she has family in Madison, a place where she'd be able to stay and be for any court cases here. Obviously, I can't speak for all the policies in the courthouse, but I would also hope that if it was possible that her attorney would be able to help her set up some kind of video, remote, or Zoom appearance if that would be allowed too. So I do think she's set up and well positioned to make sure she makes all her future court appearances here. Mainly just noting that address, or not address, but a place to stay, and family members that are in the Dane County area who she'd be able to take advantage of staying with them to actually accomplish those things, Your Honor. So for those reasons, we ask that you consider a significantly lower cash bond or a signature bond. And I would just note, again, as the state said, I agree with them. I understand why they're asking for this cash, but I don't think this is, while it is a serious crime, it's still on the lower end of felonies here. Thank you.
I think if Ms. Jenkins were here and this were the only thing she ever had, I could be convinced the signature bond's appropriate. My concern is it seems like she's got criminal ties that are going on all over the place. The complaint suggests that there were some warrants for some credit card fraud out of Pennsylvania. She's living in Michigan, comes to Madison, allegedly commits this offense, is arrested in Illinois, is extradited back. There's apparently some issues in Michigan in regards to criminal type stuff. My concern is she's kind of going all over the place, committing these types of offenses. My experience is when that happens, those people just don't show up. It's almost a cost of business sort of thing, and they post the bail and then we don't see them again. I'm not going to set it less than the state's asked for. I'll set $1,500 cash bail, order that she not use or possess any lottery tickets. And we can get it set for a timely preliminary hearing though in the next 10 days if you'd like.
That would be our request to enforce time limits.
Okay, we are adjourned.
On this next.
So.
We'll go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus Adele Hunt. That's 26 CM 160 appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
Adele Hunt appears in person in custody with attorney Miles Leone. We have received a copy of the complaint, would waive any further reading at this time. She's been found eligible for the public defender, and the address on the complaint is up to date and correct.
Okay, I'll make findings of probable cause and or not guilty pleas. State's position on bail.
Yes, we'd ask for a signature bond, no contact with a Dion, D-I-O-N, last initial F, no alcohol, and no dangerous weapons.
Okay, any objections?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll order a signature bond. Condition will be a no contact direct or indirect with Dion F, that you not possess or consume any alcohol, that you not use or possess dangerous weapons, as that's defined by the statute. So firearms, other things that are designed as weapons, but it also includes anything else if you're using or intend to use it in a manner that's likely to cause great bodily harm or death. You're going to get released today. You're going to get past this. Just make sure you show up to court and follow your bond conditions and not pick up any new cases. Okay. All right. You're welcome.
Snow, what's next? Ryan Snow.
These are both one returns.
So,
Yeah.
sometimes they give you the complaints anyways, but we don't need to do the IAs.
John likes these.
All right, we'll go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus Ryan Snow. It's 25 CF 176 and 25 CF 1981 appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
Ryan Snow appears in person in custody with attorney Miles Leone. We would waive any formal reading of the, you said this is just a
Yeah, it's
return.
return on warrant, so.
He's eligible.
No, did not appear on December 17th of last year. So it looks like Attorney Middleton's on the case, so I think he hasn't been out on the warrant long enough, so Attorney Middleton will still be representing you. I want to make sure that we actually still do have a good mailing address. We had care of Porchlight, 306 North Brook Street, Madison, Wisconsin, 53715. Is that still the best place for mail?
I got a new address from him. It would be 615 East Washington Avenue, Madison, Wisconsin, 53703.
Okay, I had just pulled up the other case. I see that's what we had there. So always good to be consistent on the mailing addresses. And any info you want to provide Attorney Leone as to why Mr. Snow didn't appear.
Your Honor, I just provide from Mr. Snow that it seems like he just lost track of the date. It wasn't his intention not to be at court.
Okay, and how did he end up in custody?
Says the paperwork I've been provided says he turned himself in, Your Honor.
Okay, that would be consistent with the booking sheet, the location of arrest. So that's important to know. What's the state's position on bail?
Yes, Your Honor. And did Your Honor say the non-appearance was from December 17th?
Correct.
In light of the fact that that was just only a month ago with the holidays in between, and the fact that Mr. Snow did turn himself in 25 CF 176, where it's a single non-Act 3 eligible offense, the state would ask for the original bond conditions, which were in that case signature bond and not to operate a motor vehicle. I think just in general, not to operate a motor vehicle. And then in 25 CF 1981,
I think it was a signature bond and the not to be on Winnemac Avenue in Madison.
we'd ask for those conditions again for the same reasoning, and non-Act 3 eligible offenses, and crediting Mr. Snow for turning himself in. We'd ask for the same reimposition of the same bond, a signature bond, and those same non-monetary conditions.
Okay, assume there's no objection.
No objection.
All right, I think it's reasonable. You turned yourself in. That's hugely important. And I looked at the PSA at the initial appearance. It looks like you've never missed court before. So you had your one mulligan. You got to stay on top of court. Sign up for text message reminders if you need to. You're probably not getting a signature bond again. So make sure you make your court dates. We'll be adjourned.
Commissioner, it's signature bond with original conditions.
Yes. Was there a change at some point that I overlooked?
Commissioner Lasberg had indicated in court with SCF 176 that the original condition was not operated motor vehicle at all. It's actually, at least in CCAT, not operated motor vehicle.
Oh, then I would ask for that, Your Honor.
All right, it'll be not operated motor vehicle out of valid license, the same as it was previously. All right, we are adjourned.
Great.
Catch that. Oh, Green? You're Mr. Green? Okay. We'll go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus Tremaine Green. It's 26 CM 157 appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
Tremaine Green appears in person in custody with attorney Miles Leone. This time we've received a copy of the complaint, would waive any further reading. He's found eligible for the public defender, and the address on the complaint is up to date and correct.
Okay, I guess I had a note that the hold was dropped, but I think maybe he's actually serving out a sanction till February 24th. Does that sound right? Okay. We'll make a finding of probable cause, enter a not guilty plea to the charge. What's the state's position on bail?
The state would ask for a signature bond with the condition of, I believe the geographical restriction most appropriate is, I think it's the 2000 block of Zaire Road. Believe it's.
Location was the business Hibbett, HIBBETT.
That's my understanding in the 2000 block of Zaire Road. That's the only non-monetary condition we would ask for.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll order a signature bond with the requested bond condition. We'll be adjourned.
This next, Marcus Gonzalez.
I'm sorry, who do we have?
Marcus Gonzalez, warrant for.
We'll go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus Marcus Gonzalez, 25 CF 2210 appearance.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
Marcus Gonzalez appears in person in custody with attorney Miles Leon.
Right, and I think we had a failure to appear on November 13th of last year. Looks like we had 1810 Redfern Lane in Madison. Is that a good mailing address?
To update that
Okay, what is it?
to 1208 Park Circle,
1208 Park Circle?
Sunbury.
All right, and any apartment number?
No, it's just 1208.
All right, I'm gonna guess he still has attorney Lencioni, even though he's been out just a little over 60 days. It looks like there was a more recent appointment after the failure to appear.
Attorney Lencioni is still representing him.
Okay. Attorney Leon, any information you want to provide about the failure to appear?
Yes, my understanding is that Attorney Lencioni was able to meet with Mr. Gonzalez. He explained that while he did receive that notice, he had moved and now has updated that address as he just did now. But during the move, he lost the notice and he didn't have it recorded anywhere else. And then by the time he kind of figured out that he had missed court, ultimately he was rear-ended, and that's what led to police contact and him getting brought into custody. So while he was arrested, it wasn't for any like new crime or anything like that. That's all I would provide.
Okay, thank you. State's position on bail.
In light of that information, and given the nature of the charges, the state would ask for a signature bond, conditions of no controlled substance or drug paraphernalia. We'd also ask for the previous non-monetary condition, which I understand to be no operating a motor vehicle, and no further argument.
All right, I assume there's no objection.
No objection.
All right, seems reasonable. Mr. Gonzalez, just make sure you keep your address up to date. That's your responsibility. You can sign up with text message reminders. You miss court again, maybe you're not going to get a signature bond, okay? And then I think because time limits had already been waived, we would. Oh, you missed a prelim?
I think good cause was found.
I see. Well, does he want a prelim in the next 20 days, or does he want to set for a status now that he's got an attorney on board?
I'll ask to set it for a prelim within time limits. I think that's enough time for Attorney Lencioni to have that conversation with him.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right, we are adjourned.
Sir. Ethan is next via Zoom. Matthew.
I think Matthew or Ethan.
I'm sorry, what's the last name? Oh, Bate? Ah. All right, we'll go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus Matthew Baton. It's 26 CM 167 appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
Matthew Baton appears via video from the Dane County Jail with Attorney Miles Leon in the courtroom. I have received a copy of the criminal complaint. It would waive any further reading at this time. The public defender is awaiting verification of some information. So at this point, his eligibility is not confirmed, but if that's verified, he would be eligible. And I believe the address is correct that's on the complaint based on my paperwork.
All right, and so Mr. Baton, just make sure that you're keeping in touch with the public defender's office. If they say that you're not eligible, ultimately, you can always hire an attorney on your own if able, or you could apply for a county attorney. That's the middle option. Give me a thumbs up if you've been able to hear me okay. All right, I see a thumbs up. I'll make a finding of probable cause and are not guilty pleas to the charges. State's position on bail.
The state would ask for a signature bond, condition of no contact with Brandon, spelled BRANDIN, last initial T, and a ban from the 4800 block of Dale Street in McFarland.
Any objections?
I can't help but notice that that's the address I believe he has listed here as a Dale Street address. If I might ask, Mr. Baton, is there somewhere else you'd be able to go if you're not allowed on that block?
They might need to unmute him. I think he's muted.
Excuse me. I want to go by my boyfriend and go home. I'm so sorry what I did. But
Okay, Mr. Baton, I don't want you to say anything about the facts of the case. I gather your position is you don't want me to order those conditions of bail. And you don't have someplace else to go. Attorney Leon can make any arguments about that, but I don't want you to say anything that's gonna get used against you later on.
Yeah, thank you,
Attorney
Your Honor.
Leon, any argument you wanna make?
Your Honor, at this time, we wouldn't be objecting to the signature bond. That said, I do think I agree with your assessment. I believe Mr. Baton might not have somewhere else to go if these non-monetary conditions as are being requested by the state are ordered. I do think that should go into the court's consideration here. We don't want to possibly make a situation worse by making him functionally homeless if this is the only place he has to be. And that I just ask the court consider that before ordering those non-monetary conditions. Thank you.
Just like to confirm with the ADA, the spelling of the victim's name, I'm looking at the follow up affidavit in the jail computer, I'm seeing 3 different spellings. One of them is the one that you provided, Brandon with an I. I also see Brandon with an O and Braden with no X. Yeah. Dealer's choice as.
I will check the police report to see if that provides clarification.
While you're taking a look at that, I'm gonna go along with the signature bond, but I am gonna order the no contact direct or indirect with Brandon T. We've tried a no acts or threats of violence that allegedly hasn't worked. The victim enforced a 72-hour no contact, so the best information I have is they don't want contact. Obviously, if they change their mind, they can contact the DA's office or contact Mr. Baton's defense attorney or the court and try to get the bond modified. I'll, because of that, order the ban from the 4800 block of Dale Street. Mr. Baton, when you figure out where you can stay, whether that's a friend or a shelter, make sure you're updating the court with that address. Sign up for text message reminders if you got a working cell phone. But I don't think I can do anything other than order the no contacts. If you do need to get items from the residents, you could do that, but you would have to be in the presence of law enforcement and arrange for a time to do that.
Excuse me, can I please say something?
I don't think you want to, Mr. Baton. I'm afraid you're gonna say something that's gonna be used against you.
I don't want to be banned from Brandon. I want to go home and make love to him. I miss him so much.
I understand that. I wish we weren't here. Unfortunately, we tried lesser restrictive conditions. Allegedly, that did not work at all. This is what I've ordered. Talk to your lawyer and they can have the bail conditions modified. All right, good luck.
Pierce is next, case of Pierce.
And
Since for the Brandon and I.
in the first case, yeah, it's also that way in the 24 CM case.
Sir. We'll call the state of Wisconsin versus Jason Pierce is 25 CF 2085 and 25 CM 157. These are bail bond hearings, appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
Jason Pierce appears in person in custody with attorney Miles Leon. We have received a copy of the criminal complaint and at this time would waive any further
Yeah,
reading.
We've done initial appearances. Unfortunately, Mr. Pierce did not show up. So it looks like there was a failure to appear in the felony case on January 8th of this year after having posted, I believe, $200. That was posted at the initial appearance. And then in the misdemeanor case, I think there was a failure to appear October 15th. And then also a failure to appear on January 8th of 2026. So a couple things. I think he still has Attorney Middleton. He's eligible for the public defender still.
That's what I see here on, I see that he is Mr. Attorney
I
Middleton.
think we maybe had the Beacon as a mailing address in both of those cases. No. Beacon in one place and then 48 road number 144 in Madison. Is one of those a better address or is there a third better address?
He's gonna give you a new address. You can just tell them.
It's the Hayes Road one. Yeah.
The Hayes Road one? Okay, sounds good. We'll make sure that both files are updated with that. And any info you want to provide about the failure to appear, Attorney Leon?
Your Honor, he's informing me that the notice, that's the best address for him now, which is why he's providing it to the court to keep his address updated, but he's saying he did not receive that notice there. It went to the wrong address.
Okay, and I think notices got returned. In both files, I believe. What's the state's position on bail?
Yes, Your Honor. In 25 CF 2085, the state would ask for the original bond amounts and conditions, which would be a $200 cash bond, which I believe is still on file. And Mr. Pierce already posted, and then a ban from Dick's Sporting Goods and Played Again Sports. And that request is largely based upon the nature of the charges in that case.
So I think that's status quo, prior bond amount and conditions all to remain.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then in the misdemeanor?
And that's 25 CM 157. Is that right, Your Honor?
Yep.
Okay. In that case, again, given the nature of the allegations, the state would ask for a signature bond and the non-monetary condition of a ban from Target. Again, given it's problematic that there was a missed court appearance, but that case alleges, I believe, 2 separate counts of misdemeanor retail theft.
Okay, so Mr. Pierce, I'll go along with that. It's just reinstating the bond in the same position you were before. Got to make your court dates. These are not the most serious charges. There's a danger you're going to do more time, keep getting arrested on warrants than anybody would ask for at a sentencing if you get convicted. So make sure you show up to court. Do you have a cell phone?
Yes, I do.
Okay, ask them about signing up for text message reminders if you're interested.
Yeah.
And then if you do change your address at any point, make sure you're letting your lawyer know so they can get that updated, okay?
Yep, we changed like the last year, so.
Yeah,
You have-
and then are we past arraignment in that felony?
I believe so.
Okay, so I think you're gonna get released today. We're adjourned.
Okay. This way.
Vance is next, Vance.
Great, we'll call the state of Wisconsin versus Andre Vance. It's 26 CF 160 appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
Andre Vance appears in person in custody with Attorney Miles Leone. We have received a copy of the complaint. At this time would waive any further reading, Your Honor. He's eligible for the public defender and has a listed address, I believe, as the job center.
Okay, so I think there's a DOC hold that's still in place. We'll make a finding of probable cause for the charge that applies to Mr. Vance. And state's position on bail.
Yes, Your Honor. The state would ask for a $500 cash bond, condition of no contact with the co-defendants, Matthew Bartelt, Melvin Jackson, Maurice Neal, and a ban from Fleet Farm locations. The reason for the cash bond request is Mr. Vance was on supervision at the time. I believe he also has a prior conviction for escape, to the extent that's relevant to the analysis. And I'm aware these are the count as it relates to Mr. Vance is a felony retail theft, which is not the most serious charge, albeit with a repeater. So ultimately with cash bond amounts, we would defer to Your Honor.
And the turning around.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think at this time we'd be requesting a signature bond. Mr. Vance was able to lean over and inform me that, yes, he is on supervision, but he has received an ATR. He believes his bed date would be February 2nd. And so I think setting a cash bond here would possibly just get in the way of that and create the reason to come back to court, or at least a filing to happen. Obviously, I'm not able to confirm that information right now, but I'm taking him at his word that he has a bed date. And I think that's pretty much should be the main focus here for the court and for the state as well, to make sure he can get there, especially considering that theft type crimes like this are often associated with substance abuse. So I think for that reason, we'd ask that you consider a signature bond here. He also does have some strong ties to the area, being in Dane County. I believe it says his vast majority of his life having some children in the area and having significant family ties, including parents, siblings, extended family, and friends.
All right. Well, I don't think it's my job to abdicate the bail decision to the Department of Corrections. That said, given the nature of the charge, I'm not persuaded that cash bail is necessary to assure his appearance on this particular case. So I'll order a signature bond. I will order no contact, direct or indirect, with your co-defendants, Matthew Bartels, Melvin Jackson Jr., and Maurice Neal, and a band from Fleet and Farm locations. And he's going to have the right to a prelim in the next 20 days.
We would just ask to enforce the time limits, Your Honor.
Okay, we are adjourned.
Okay, SNAD is next. Go ahead.
Just the best angles for me.
We'll go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus ELISHA JAMES. It's 26 CF 128 appearances.
ADA Carl Lassers for the state.
ELISHA JAMES appears in person in custody with attorney Miles Leon. We've received a copy of the criminal complaint who would waive any further reading at this time. He's eligible for the public defender, and the address listed on the criminal complaint is up to date and accurate.
We'll make a finding of probable cause for the charges and are not guilty pleas to the misdemeanors. Looks like there's a DOC hold that's still in place. What's the state's position on bail?
Yes, Your Honor. The state would ask for bond in the amount of $2,500. Conditions of no contact with child victim, which I believe KH, or any family members of the child victim. A ban from the 1000 block of Bristol Street in Sun Prairie, and in order not to physically discipline any child. The reason for these requests are there are some failures to appear from 2021 and 2022, specifically November 22nd of 2021 and August 1st of 2022. Count 1 is an Act 3 offense, and I believe there is a history of Act 3 offenses, specifically I actually don't have that information in front of me. Yes, I found one. Believe 20 CF, Dane County case 20 CF 2020. That was a conviction for substantial battery. I believe another case, it's not an Act 3 eligible offense, but I think at the same time there was a conviction for fleeing and eluding as well. The state believes this amount of cash bond is the lowest amount needed to ensure Mr. Sternad's future appearance in court and also to protect the community.
And I think in 22 CM 1670, at least according to the repeater allegation, he's got a battery conviction, which is an Act 3 offense. Attorney Leon, your position on bail?
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, we'd ask that you consider a significantly lower cash bail or a signature bail in this, or signature bond in this matter. The reason for our request here is, first of all, I do think he has some strong ties to the area. Obviously, I understand that no contact is being asked for at this address, but he's informed me that he has another place to stay in the area, so he'll still be nearby, able to get to all his court dates. I think that's really important here, considering the non-monetary conditions that were asked for by the state. While I understand that cash can be used and is used to help assure protection of the public here, I also think a lot of focus should go on to those non-monetary conditions here. Considering we didn't hear much history or meaningful history of prior non-compliance with court-ordered conditions, I think there's good reason to believe that he would comply, especially if he's not in the residence. And like I've said, he has another place he's able to go. Other than that, I would just inform the court that he's been in Wisconsin for a few years, 3 years to be exact, has significant family ties outside of the people involved in this complaint, including parents, sibling, and his extended family. And that's all I would actually add to the record at this time, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, and I intend to order the address ban. So Mr. Strnad, I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce your name. But do you know that address where you can get mail going forward? If you don't know it now, that's fine. You can update it. It's kind of a moot thing here. Pardon? Waterloo. Okay. Yeah, and it's not a big deal. If you don't know it off the top of your head, then the clerk won't put it in. We can use the jail for the time being. You got the DOC hold. If that's lifted and you're released, and make sure you let your lawyer know where you want the mail sent so you don't miss court. Yeah, I see this as a cash bail case, regardless of whether we're looking at the failure to appear analysis or the Act 3 analysis. I've got somebody who allegedly is resistive obstructive with law enforcement after a violent felony Act 3 offense. He's charged as a repeater. There's a history of resist obstruct. There's been a couple of missed court dates from the last 2 to 4 or 5 years. And then we also have the Act 3 concerns. So I got somebody's on supervision, may well be for that substantial battery, but then also as a misdemeanor battery conviction. So also had Act 3 eligible violent offenses in the last 2 to 5 years. I'm going to set $1,500 cash bail order, no contact, direct or indirect, with KH or any of their immediate family members, a ban from the 1000 block of Bristol Street, and that you not physically discipline any minor children. The defendant would be entitled to a prelim in the next 10 days. What's your position on that?
We would ask to enforce time limits.
Okay, we will get that scheduled and we are adjourned.
What is next? What happens?
1500.
Your Honor, may I have one moment to
Sure. Here, Clayton.
message your calls?
This is the best address for you, sir.
Just let me know when you're ready, Attorney Landers.
I'm ready, Your Honor. Thank you.
We'll call the record in the state of Wisconsin versus Clayton Webb. That's 25 CM 2338 appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
Clayton Webb appears in person in custody with Attorney Miles Leone. We have received a copy of the criminal complaint, would waive any further reading at this time. He has been found eligible for the public defender. And I will update his address quickly with the court. It will be 402 Dayton Street, Unit 306, Madison, Wisconsin, 53703.
Okay. We'll note that this went out on a warrant after a failure to appear at the initial appearance. Probable cause has been found. Get not guilty pleas entered. There's a public safety assessment report. Recommends cash bail. What's the state's position on bail?
Yes, Your Honor. Despite the public safety assessment, given that this case charges a single allegation of misdemeanor retail theft, the state would still ask for a signature bond. with the same non-monetary conditions, which I believe,
I don't think we said any,
Okay.
so there was an adjourned initial appearance because there wasn't proper service. And then I think you attempted to get him served, weren't able to get him served, and there was no other option other than issuing a warrant.
sure.
So that got issued, but bail hadn't been addressed. I think the business is the Walgreens, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, we'd ask for no contact with any Walgreens location, and no contact with the co-defendants, Tajia Lewis and Brandy Howard.
Okay, any objections?
No objection.
Yeah, despite the public safety assessment, I think that's reasonable. I'm not going to hold that failure to appear that I mentioned against him. I don't know that he had any idea that actually occurred. In fact, there's good reason to believe he didn't because they tried to get him served for that and couldn't. That means he's never missed court. And given the nature of the offense, despite how it scores out, I'm fine with the signature bond. Condition will be a ban from the Walgreens locations wherever they're at, and we'll be adjourned. Oh, and the co-defendants, yeah, your named co-defendants on your criminal complaint.
DeSoma is next, Margaret.
We'll call the County of Dane versus Tyler DeSoma. It's 26 FO 124 appearances.
ADA Carl Lassers for the county.
Mr. DeSoma is in person, in custody without counsel. So good news. I think you're getting released today. I don't think anything else is holding you, even though you were arrested for criminal charges. They're not charging you with a crime. They've charged you with county possession of drug paraphernalia. So that's non-criminal, more like a traffic ticket. They will have an offer. If you want to accept that, then you can be done with it. If you don't want to accept that, you're still getting released from custody. Before we hear the offer, do we have a good address on your paperwork for you? Okay. Attorney Lazarus, the offer from the county?
Yes, upon a plea of guilty or no contest to the charge, a fine of court costs only.
Okay, that's going to be $114.50. You'd have to pay that in the next 60 days or work out a payment plan with the clerk's office if you need more time. It's not something you have to post up front to get released. Did you want to accept that offer or would you like to contest the charges?
Plead no contest.
Okay, I'll accept that no contest plea to the charge. Or do you pay the court costs of $114.50? They'll give you some info about making the payments and we'll be adjourned. Take care.
Next is Dodson.
All right, we'll go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus Matthew Dodson, 26 CF 146, 25 CM 2638. And then we have a bunch of return on warrant bail bond hearings. Those are cases 25 CM 1109, 24 CM 2182, 24 CM 1881, 24 CM 1282, and 23 CM 1682 appearances.
ADA Carl Lassers for the state.
Matthew Dodson appears in person in custody with attorney Miles Leone. As to the new case, the 25 CM 2638, I have received a copy of that complaint. Would waive any further reading at this time. Mr. Dodson does remain eligible for the public defender, and I believe Attorney Lencioni will be taking this case as well. Currently, I don't have an address for him, so I'd ask if he has one to provide it to the court.
I don't. Okay, not a shelter or friend or anywhere we can send mail. Okay.
I think I heard you say that you had a complaint for 25 CM 2638. You don't have a complaint for 26 CF 146. It has been a date of January 17th.
I have it. Thank you.
All right, so I'll make findings of probable cause in the two new cases. Enter not guilty pleas to the charges. And we need to address bail in all the cases. What's the state's position?
Yes, Your Honor. In 26 CF 146, the newest case, The state is asking for a $1,000 cash bond, condition of a ban from the 5,000 block of Femrite Drive in Madison, and no use or possession of any controlled substances or drug paraphernalia without a valid prescription. And the reason for that request, and this will likely apply to the other requests, is that I believe there was a failure to appear on September 13th, 2024. Then $50 was posted on December 23rd, 2024. And that failure to appear, I think I said this, but it was September 13th, 2024, with the posting of bond December 23rd, 2024. I believe there's a failure to appear on January 2nd, 2025, and then the posting of $250 cash bond on April 3rd of 2025. And then there was a failure to appear on October 27th of 2025, until picked up on a warrant. There was also a bench warrant on January 6th of 2025 for a pretrial services violation. And then there's a lot of failures to appear. In the other IA case, which I believe is 25 CM 2638, the state would ask for $1,000 cash bond, no contact with Chandra, spelled CHANDRA, last initial O, a ban from the 2700 block of Westview Court in Cross Plains. The reason for that request, largely similar to the failures to appear I mentioned in the other case. I'll also note that this is Mr. Dodson's fifth open Dane County case. There's a failure to appear also alleged at his initial appearance in a filed only case in Rock County from August 11th of 2025. And then I mentioned the failures to appear. I think there's already been $1,500 cash bond posted across the other cases we're here on a bond hearing for. It doesn't seem like that amount of cash bond was sufficient to have Mr. Dodson comply with his bond conditions and appear in court. In each of those cases, the other bond cases, we would just ask for the same bond amount, the same bond to continue, except we'd ask for an increase of $100 in each of those cases, with the already posted cash in each of those cases to apply, with another $100 cash bond required, in the same non-monetary conditions.
Okay, and Attorney Leon.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, I would ask that you consider, rather than doing a larger cash bond in the newer cases, that you consider a modest cash bond similar to what was already been posted across all the files here. Just considering the number of the files here, I think it will come out to having a similar effect, but also takes a balancing, or it balances the fact that he is eligible for the public defender, is by definition indigent, and even though he's posted cash in the past, I think any additional cash at this point would likely be burdensome and result in him staying in custody for the remainder of the case. I would also note that he does have some strong ties to the area. He's been in Dane County, from what I can see here, for about 10 years and been in Wisconsin for around, I think, really that whole time here. He also has some children in the area as well. For all those reasons, I just think that at this point, even though there are numerous cases, that we can kind of get to a similar place and balance the needs of the state and the court with the needs of the defendant and what he is probably looking for here. And so we would ask that you consider a modest cash bond in those other cases, and just note the fact that there's cash is likely going to be set across many files here today. Finally, I would just note that as far as some of the more recent missed appearances, I don't think it was completely because Mr. Dodson is trying to blow off court. I have information here saying that he didn't have a ride and he was trying to get a hold of his attorney but was unsuccessful. I would also just note for the court that my understanding is that Attorney Lencioni will continue on these cases, so he's going to be represented right away, and have someone to help him navigate the system, make sure he knows what's going on, where he needs to be, and when. Thank you.
All right. Well, I'm not suggesting Mr. Dodson was trying to flee to Canada or Mexico. The problem is the court and judge have tried to work with Mr. Dodson, tried to get these cases resolved. He's got a 2023 case that's still pending because of court dates. He doesn't have a great mailing address to provide to the court now. I'm not sure that we're in a better position, and he keeps picking up cases. I don't have much choice here. Just for ease for the clerk, I'm gonna set $500 cash bail on each of the misdemeanors. The good news is, nobody's asked that that cash bail be forfeited, and they certainly would have that right pursuant to statute. So all of the cash bail will apply to the new bail here. All the prior non-monetary conditions in any of the misdemeanors will continue. I don't think there's pretrial services anymore in any of those. If there is, I'm gonna eliminate that because obviously that hasn't worked. In 25 CM 2638, the new case, in addition to $500 cash bail and no contact direct or indirect with Chandra O, banned from the 2700 block of Westview Court in Cross Plains. And then in the felony case, I think the $1,000 that's requested is appropriate and necessary. I'll set that a ban from the 5000 block of Femrite Drive that you not use or possess any controlled substances or drug paraphernalia without a valid prescription. What about time limits for the preliminary hearing?
We would enforce time limits.
Okay.
Commissioner, I just want to clarify, there's $250 on file in all of the older misdemeanor cases, except for one that has 500 on file. You're ordering $500 cash in all.
Yeah, and I was aware of that. I think ultimately what I have done is a little bit worse than what the state requested, but not by much. Yep.
Martinez Article.
And Your Honor, I'm going to trade off
Oh.
ADA Wagner again.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I know. I think there's 6 or maybe after this.
So thank you so
Yeah,
much.
no problem, man.
Appreciate it.
Take care. See you tomorrow.
Thanks.
I don't know when do I get to go to the bullpen?
I mean, how many days does it take, you know?
Some of the. All right, we'll call the state of Wisconsin versus Maynor Martinez Artica. It's 26 CM 163. There's also a pretrial services violation case, 26 CM 45. Appearances.
The state appears by ADA Ben Wagner.
Minor Martinez Artica appears in person in custody with attorney Miles Leon. Have received a copy of the complaint in this case. I would waive any further reading at this time, Your Honor. I'm not sure of his eligibility at this point. It says on the sheet that he didn't want SPD representation at the beginning, but I also see here that I think he's already represented by attorney Sheehan. I don't have an address, and I would ask if he has a current address to provide it to the court, if you have one. Which ones? Okay, the 16 Manor Drive, Madison, Wisconsin, 53713 is the up-to-date address.
Okay, and Mr. Martinez Artica, if you decide that you want a public defender, make sure you give them a call. If you're gonna hire an attorney on your own, that's fine. But if you can't give them a call, you're probably still eligible and can get attorney Sheehan on your new case, okay?
Public defender.
Pardon? A lawyer.
Your attorney, your lawyer.
A lawyer.
You had said you do recommend Sheehan.
All right, I'll make a finding of probable cause in the new case, enter not guilty pleas. And we need to address bail in both cases, state's position.
Your Honor, in the new case 26 CM 163, the state's asking for $1,000 cash bail, along with the condition that the defendant not direct any acts or threats towards Juana A.L. That's Juana. And also that he not use or possess any alcohol. This is his 4th opening case involving alcohol consumption here. In this case, he was at a 0.195 PBT. He was on pretrial services for alcohol monitoring in 26 CM 45, and he didn't comply with testing requirements barely at all in that case. I think given the fact that this is his 4th open case in a short amount of time, some significant cash bail is appropriate at this point. So I'd ask the court to impose that. In that other case, 26 CM 45, that we were here for the bail hearing. As I mentioned, Mr. Martinez Artica is not complying with pretrial services, and so I think that at this point, more significant cash is appropriate in that case as well. In order,
150 on file has not been forfeited there.
correct, that sounds correct. I think additional cash is appropriate to, I think, make the point that he needs to comply with the conditions of bail and stop drinking and stop picking up new cases.
Okay, and Attorney Leon.
Just really quickly, how much was posted in the other case? I'm sorry.
150.
150, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Your Honor, at this time, we would ask that you consider a significantly lower cash bond than the $1,000 that's being requested. And I think only a moderate increase would be necessary here. Unfortunately, I don't have a ton of information on Mr. Martinez Artica, but I do think just looking at the complaints, knowing that these are misdemeanor files, while I do understand the state's concern, they are still misdemeanor files here. He is a very young person, I believe 19 years old here. And I will say, just based on this little bit of interaction I'm having with him, it does seem to be that there's some lack of understanding of really what's going on here. Not in any way am I trying to bring incompetency into this. That's not what I'm saying. More that he's just a young person that might not really understand the situation that he's finding himself in. To me, that's not a reason to give him a significant cash bond or jump from 150 that was previously posted to 1,000 now. But I do understand why that might warrant some moderate increase. But we're asking for a more moderate cash bond to be set, or if the court would consider a signature bond in both matters. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. I don't think a signature bond's appropriate, and I'm going to eliminate the pretrial services. It looks like there hasn't really been much compliance cooperation with that, and it hasn't really done anything to prevent the new crime here. They're over capacity. We might as well have it used for people who maybe can get more use out of it. I'll set $300 cash bail on 26 CM 45 with the prior conditions, except for the pretrial services. And any pretrial services monitoring, of course, the no alcohol and the ban from Walmart will continue. In the new case, I'm going to set $500 cash bail, order no acts or threats of violence towards Juana AL, and again, order that he not possess or consume any alcohol, and we'll be adjourned.
Triplet is next.
Who is this?
Triplet, Willie.
Triplet? Okay.
Go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus Willie Triplet. It's 26 CF 152 appearances.
The state appears by ADA Ben Wagner.
Willie Triplet appears in person in custody with Attorney Miles Leon. We've received a copy of the criminal complaint, Your Honor. We'd waive any further reading. He is eligible for the public defender's office, and current address would be at the Beacon.
Okay, and we'll make a finding of probable cause. State's position on bail.
State's asking for $500 cash bail, along with the condition that the defendant not have any contact with Scott R. The defendant had a failure to appear from May 22nd of 2025, which was served on him later that day when he didn't turn himself in or alert the court to his whereabouts. He does have prior violent charges and convictions, including a second-degree recklessly endangering safety, as well as a burglary. I think some cash bail is necessary to assure his appearance in court here.
And Attorney Leon.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, we'd ask that you consider a significantly lower cash bond, or ideally a signature bond in this case. First, I see that his understanding that he has dealing with homelessness right now. He does have an address that's provided to the court that is in the area. He's been in Dane County, my understanding, for a very significant amount of time, but been in Wisconsin for 30 years at least. I do understand why the state is asking for cash here in this case, but I think I didn't catch if they put the date on the record, but Mr. Triplett informs me that those prior Act 3 offenses are quite dated. And so I would just add that to the record as well, that I don't think they're recent, and I don't think he has a much recent interaction with the court system other than the missed court date that was put on the record by the state. So for those reasons, we'd ask that you consider a lower cash bond or a signature bond in this matter.
All right, just give me a second. Well, he's got the one failure to appear, but he resolved that relatively quickly. And I haven't heard the dates of the prior Act 3 eligible offenses. So I'll take the representation that they're somewhat dated. The charge is not an Act 3 eligible offense, so I'm not supposed to consider protection of the public. So I think maybe in some respects that isn't as important to the analysis, although the prior criminal history can elevate how a court sees the charges and the disposition. I guess I'm not satisfied that cash is necessary to assure appearance. So order a signature bond. I'll order no contact, direct or indirect, with the victim. And that was Scott R.
That's correct.
All right. Mr. Triplett has the right to a prelim in the next 20 days. Your position on that?
We'll enforce time limits, Your Honor.
Okay, we are adjourned.
Let's see.
Hagensen is next.
Okay, we'll go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus Stephen Haagensen. It's 26 CM 159 appearances.
State appears by ADA Ben Wagner.
Stephen Haagensen appears in person in custody with Attorney Miles Leone. We have received a copy of the criminal complaint and would waive any further reading at this time. He is eligible for the public defender and has provided the address of 1819 Middleton Street in Middleton, Wisconsin, 53562.
Okay. Any apartment number there? Okay. I'll make a finding of probable cause and are not guilty, please. State's position on bail.
State's asking for $1,000 cash bail, along with the condition that the defendant not consume any alcohol. This is his 6th open case in which he's drunk and causing a disturbance. He's totally unwilling to or unable to follow his bail conditions. There's at this point some significant cash is appropriate given these circumstances. In this situation, he was outside of his friend's apartment yelling. He was escorted away and given a chance to resolve the issue, but then came back, continued screaming and yelling at his friend's house, causing a major disturbance. So I think that cash here is appropriate because, again, he's not willing to follow his bail conditions and limit his alcohol use.
And Attorney Leone.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, we'd ask that you consider a significantly lower amount of cash or alternatively a signature bond in this matter. I understand from reading the complaint that he's been in Dane County for some amount of time. Unfortunately, I don't have an exact amount here on my paperwork. That said, even though there are many open cases here, my understanding and from what the state's put on the record is that the type of conduct that's occurring here is disorderly conduct. And I think the only reason I note that is because it's something that people often don't even get charged criminally for and get ticketed for. Understanding that it might be getting to a point that is too far, I do think that the fact that that's the kind of conduct that's happening here, plus the drinking, it is fairly kind of small conduct here. I think the real issue is obviously the number here, which the state is obviously highlighting for you. That said, because of the misdemeanor nature of it and the kind of conduct we're talking about here, I do think a significantly lower amount of cash than the $1,000 that's being asked for would be appropriate here, or a signature bond. Thank you.
Well, it's a cash bail situation when you're on case number 6. I think the point is well taken that we're not looking at felony charges here. It's a disorderly conduct plus the bail jumps. I'll set cash bail at $350, order that you not possess or consume any alcohol, and we'll be adjourned.
Craig's next.
Sorry, what?
We'll go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus ADRIAN MICHAEL. It's 26 CF 157 appearances.
The state appears by ADA Ben Wagner.
Adrian Okray appears in person in custody with attorney Miles Leone. We have received a copy of the complaint and would waive any further reading at this time. He was found not eligible for the public defender, and the current address for him would be 2063 Rinden, RINDEN Road in Cottage Grove, Wisconsin, 53537.
Okay, so Mr. Okray, a couple things to talk about. They've given you the public defender info. Sounds like you're not eligible. If you can't hire an attorney on your own, you can reapply with a public defender. You could apply for a county attorney, and the public defender can kind of point you in the right direction for that. I'll make findings of probable cause and are not guilty pleas to the misdemeanors. State's position on bail.
The state's asking for $2,000 cash bail, given that the defendant is facing prison time with these charges. The conduct that is detailed in the criminal complaint is pretty alarming. And I think that it shows that the defendant might be a risk not to appear at court on if he was given a signature bond. So I'd ask for $2,000 cash, along with the non-monetary conditions that the defendant not operate a motor vehicle, period, and that he not consume any alcohol or any controlled substances or use any drug paraphernalia without a valid prescription.
Okay, Attorney Leon.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, we'd ask that you consider a lower cash bond or a signature bond in this matter. Mr. Okray has some strong ties to the area. He's been in Wisconsin for his entire life and has been in Dane County for at least 11 years. One moment. He has current employment here at Warden and Sons, which is located in Madison, and that began in 2025. While I do understand some of the state's argument, especially around the fleeing and eluding and how that could factor in, I think the other part that's here is that once he was caught by the police, he was fairly cooperative, it seems, from my review of the complaint. They didn't have to get a warrant, I don't believe, for the blood draw. And it seems like he participated in the standardized field sobriety test, which people often don't. So I think that does cut in his favor here, even though some of the earlier alleged conduct could be concerning. So for those reasons, we'd ask that you consider a lower cash bond or a signature bond in this matter.
Well, he wasn't supposed to be driving, period, because he was revoked, and he's allegedly over the limit and picking up an OWI fourth while fleeing from law enforcement. Allegedly gets into a crash into a tree and then driving through a field or something. There's a need for some significant cash bail given the eluding behavior that's alleged. I'll set $1,500, order that you not operate a motor vehicle, that you not possess or consume alcohol, that you not use or possess controlled substances or drug paraphernalia without a valid prescription. What about time limits?
We would enforce time limits, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll get that set in the next 10 days and we'll be adjourned.
Stout is next. This way, sir.
Okay, we'll go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus Matthew Stout. That's 26 CF 60 appearances.
The state appears by ADA Ben Wagner.
Matthew Stout appears in person in custody with attorney Miles Leone. We've received a copy of the criminal complaint. Would waive any further reading. He's been found eligible for the public defender. And I will update his address. It's going to be 2408 Johnson Street, lot 33 in Janesville, Wisconsin, 53548.
All right, it looks like the state had sought a complaint warrant that was declined by Commissioner Hanson because the defendant was serving a sentence at Dodge Correctional, I believe, and also held on a $5,000 cash bail for a related case in Rock County. We'll make a finding of probable cause in this particular case. And then we should address bail. Attorney Wagner?
The state's asking for $3,000 cash bail, along with the condition that the defendant not have any contact, direct or indirect, with Kyle G. or Matthew S., and that he be banned from their residences, place of employment, or any location they temporarily occupy, as well as the as well as the prohibition on dangerous weapons. In this case, the defendant is on extended supervision and is a convicted felon, and he steals a firearm from a vehicle. The state's case is strong, given that the defendant was arrested with the stolen firearm and admitted to taking it. He's forthright, which is to his credit, but such an obvious crime while on supervision merits some cash bail, I think. So the state's asking for $3,000.
Attorney Leon?
Thank you, Your Honor. At this point, I think I would ask for a significantly lower cash bond or a signature bond. And the reason, okay, significantly lower cash bond, Your Honor, because Mr. Stout's informed me that he's going to remain in the Wisconsin state prison system for at least the next 2 years. I think that is kind of the main issue here, is that no matter what bond is set, I don't think it's going to have much of an effect on him. So I'm not sure that the $3,000 being requested by the state is really necessary here. And I would agree with them and note for the same that Mr. Stout was forthcoming with the police once they did catch him and made an admission, at least according to the complaint. Thank you.
It may be a moot point. It may be that he gets some credit in this case that he might not otherwise get if he gets convicted here. If I set a cash bail, given the history, I think there's a need for some cash bail. I'll set it at $1,500. Order a no contact direct or indirect with Kyle G, Matthew S, a ban from their residences or place of employment. They should not use or possess any dangerous weapons, as that term is defined by the state statutes. And we'll get it scheduled for a timely prelim. He's here on a writ and he's to be held until the prelim. So we'll just get that scheduled.
Thank you.
We are adjourned.
Wilder is next. Wilder.
Go on the record in the state of Wisconsin versus Jaheim Wilder. It's 26 CF 167 appearances.
The state appears by ADA Ben Wagner.
Jaheim Wilder appears in person in custody with attorney Miles Leon. We have received a copy of the criminal complaint, Your Honor. We'd waive any further reading at this time. He was found not eligible for the public defender's office. And I have an updated address. That would be 2854 Coho Street, unit number 6, Madison, Wisconsin, 53711.
All right. And so, Mr. Wilder, they've given you the public defender info in case you need it. But if you're able to hire an attorney on your own, great. If not, you could apply for a county attorney. That's the middle option. You want to talk to your attorney quietly, go ahead. I will make a finding of probable cause for the charges and are not guilty pleas to the misdemeanors. State's position on bail.
The state is asking for $500 cash bail. In this case, he was on bail in Rock County in 3 cases. He also has a failure to appear in Rock County, case 25 CM 281 on April 28th, 2025. So it kind of indicates that he might have some difficulty appearing at courts. The state would also ask that he not operate a motor vehicle, period.
Yes.
Okay, Attorney Leon.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, we'd ask that you consider, I'm sorry, what, can you repeat the state's request for bond?
They asked for $500 cash bail and that he not operate a motor vehicle at all.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, we'd be requesting a lower cash bond or a signature bond in this matter. Mr. Wilder does have some strong ties to the area. It seems that he's been in Wisconsin for his whole life and was able to provide a Wisconsin address here today. He's also held down a job at Amazon here in Madison for the last couple of months. The conversation him and I were having is that he informs me that JKW is his sister and that this was more something that came from her being upset with him initially. It seems like a situation where consent would have been withdrawn at some point rather than him not having consent from the beginning and then it being reported to the police. So I do find that to be somewhat mitigating, albeit it is coming from Mr. Wilder, but I do think it's worth noting here and is important to the analysis for the bond here today. So for those reasons, we'd ask that you consider a lower cash bond or a signature bond in this matter.
Well, given the prior cases and he's now aggravated the level of crime, it's to a felony now, all the rest of the stuff were misdemeanors. And the failure to appear back in April, there's a need for some cash bail. I'm willing to set it at a lower amount. I'll set it at $300, order that you not operate a motor vehicle at all. He'd be entitled to a preliminary hearing in the next 20 days. Do you want that scheduled or do you want the status set and have more time?
I will enforce the time limits, Your Honor.
Okay, we are adjourned.
McGee is next.
Right, we'll call the state of Wisconsin versus Marcus McGee. It's 26 CF 156 appearances.
The state appears by ADA Ben Wagner.
Marcus McGee appears in person in custody with Attorney Miles Leon. We have received a copy of the criminal complaint and would waive any further reading at this time. He is eligible for the public defender and the address that's listed on the complaint is up to date and correct.
Okay, and I think there's a DOC hold that's still in place. We'll make a finding of probable cause. Get not guilty pleas entered to the misdemeanors, state's position on bail.
The state's asking for $1,000 cash bail, considering that the defendant is now facing mandatory prison time again. He just served 18 months on his OWI 5th and 23 CF 538. He's currently on extended supervision for that case. He was just released on March 4th of 2025. The state would be asking also for conditions that the defendant not operate a motor vehicle and that he not consume any alcohol.
Okay, and Attorney Lowe.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, we'd ask that you consider a lower cash bond or signature bond in this matter. Understanding just from what the state's put on the record that the main reason behind asking for cash is maybe you could call it an inherent flight risk that comes with the exposure here. I don't think that in itself should be enough to justify cash in this matter without something more like a history of missed court or other offenses that would suggest he won't come back to court. Other than that, I would just note that he does have some strong ties to the area, has lived in Dane County for about 10 years, and has some family in the area as well, parents, siblings, and as well as his extended family. Currently also, I believe has children in the area too. So for all those reasons, we'd ask that you consider a lower cash or a signature bond.
Well, I guess I think it's concerning that there is the mandatory presumptive prison. He just served a sentence on that. There's a good reason to think that he'd get something more than just the minimums. If convicted again, it's probably a moot point given what he's on extended supervision for. I think there's a need for cash bail. I'm not going to set it below the $1,000. I'll order that to be the cash bail along with the conditions that you not operate a motor vehicle, you not possess or consume any alcohol. We can get it scheduled for a prelim in the next 10 days, so if he wants.
We would ask for time limits to be enforced. Thank you.
Okay, will do. We are adjourned.
Hargraves next.
Might be it for you. I think this is a forfeiture. You get to go.
I was like, I ran out of paperwork. I got nervous.
Oh.
Yeah, I know you're sick of
Have
hearing.
a good one.
Thanks.
Why don't we bring out our fully packed up?
All right, we'll go on the record in the County of Dane versus Christopher Hargraves. That's 26 FO 131 appearances.
County appears by ADA Ben Wagner.
Mr. Hargraves is in person in custody without counsel. So the good news, sir, is you're not getting charged with a crime. And I don't think anyone else is holding you. I think you're going to get released today. They're going to have an offer, though. If you want to accept that offer, then you can just be done with this.
What's the offer?
Attorney Wagner?
Court costs.
So I think there's also going to be a surcharge associated with that. So it's going to be $214.50. If you wanted to accept their offer, that would have to be paid in the next 60 days or work out a payment plan if you needed more time.
Who am I paying?
We're not setting bail. It'd be county disorderly conduct as a domestic.
Okay,
So it's a non-criminal charge, more like a speeding ticket. If you want to accept their offer, then you can be done with it. If not, you're still going to get released and you just then go for future court dates. Any questions?
what was the offer again?
It'd be $214.50. Okay, I'll judge you guilty based on your no contest plea. Order the $214.50. They're gonna give you some info about making payments and they'll process and release you today in the next hour or so, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, very good. We are adjourned.
How's everyone today?